she would do she would say like, I'm a
rhinoceros.
No. Like,
okay.
A dog in a past life. Like my mind is a dog. But it's like during sexual talk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like not just like in the middle of the day. And that's it's making me lean towards it's mostly sexual, but I understand where you're coming from, Riley, because it's like the outfit itself, like if I had never heard of this and just saw someone in one of those outfits, I'd be like, what the heck? But I wouldn't think sexual. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think it is. And of course...
But like, why else are you doing this?
Yeah, the internet...
Maybe the cosplay. Who knows?
Well, yeah, but then you're like then you're like doing a character, man. Like the whole point of a cosplay is you dress up as like an IP that's already existed, right? Like you dress up as like Superman, or you make a really cool clone trooper outfit, or, you know, it's not just like a generic anthropomorphic animal.
Yeah.
And the other thing about it is like, they always start to look the same. Like they look like stuffed animals more than they look like animals. You know what I mean? Like I always assumed when I first started hearing about furry stuff, and it's like I feel I heard about it for a long time before I actually saw a picture. I always assumed that they would be dressed like where they wanted to look like a real wolf in a way. Like if your thing's a wolf, thought you'd be like, I don't know, cutting your hair a certain way and like doing like prosthetics to look real.
No, they look like cartoon characters.
They look like, cartoon characters or one of those things at a theme park. But the real question, instead of like, why is the average person doing this? Like, it wouldn't be news. I wouldn't care enough to talk about if some average, normal person is doing it. The real question is, why did Trump throw a party at Mar-a-Lago with furries as entertainers?
Well, somebody's got to fill the gap for Diddy while he's in jail.
Oh, that's a good point. So,
oh, man.
It is an open phone show, and we have a caller, so let's go to the lines. Dave Ridley in Colorado, you're on Free Talk Live. Dave, what's on your mind?
Hey, guys. Have you, by any chance, already, I guess there is a hearing date set for the latest NH exit bill?
I've heard about it, yes.
Yes, I heard of it. We haven't talked about it yet, and I was going to bring it up tonight, but I'm really glad you called in about it.
I'm looking forward to being at that hearing.
Yeah, it's January 23rd at 1 p.m. In Concord. So it's a bill to create a study committee to look into how New Hampshire would go about becoming independent and what the implications would be.
I think it's a really good bill because it's like, who can complain about that? It's to study, you know, like what the implications would be, since everybody has so many questions about it, and it's extremely important to know how it would go down because of the fact that the U.S. government empire is not making themselves what we signed up for one thing, and for another thing, they're just absolutely breaking every contract with us, if you can consider that it genuinely is contracts, that we joined the Constitution. They just trash the Constitution left and right. They harm people. They break into people's houses, and
they'll make you demand citizenship papers on the streets.
Yep. They're doing crazy things with ICE right now. I really think
I know.
We should tie in.
Yeah, that's
ICE
what I was thinking. That's probably this might be the thing that NH Exit needs to get. Yeah. Maybe we're gonna find alliances in weird places, and we align with the left to really secede over these ICE raids. But I mean, like, was that not a win? Is a win? Who cares who we have to do it with?
Win. We have to rely on our crazy bedfellows.
Say. But those people, that's the thing. Like, those people never just go like, "Oh, you're right." They're like, "No, you want to align for the," and you're sneaking in here. Like, they're like closed tight. You know. What am I trying to say? They're like
gatekeeping almost.
Yes, they know who you are, and if you have one wrong opinion, no, we can't work with you. And that's why it's always annoyed me ever since like this ICE stuff started. It's annoyed me that these like extremely organized people, like that woman in Nashville, I don't remember her name, who made the news about it, are doing these awesome things that they're doing where they're coordinating with each other, like, oh, an ICE raid is happening here, everybody show up to protest. Why couldn't you have been doing this the entire like since 2011 or whenever it was that cop block came out? Like, you could be using these organization powers for good for a long time. It's like, no, I only do it if there's a minority I can make myself look like a good person in front of.
Well, and you also got to think, if this was federal agents in these liberal cities coming to confiscate everybody's firearm.
Yeah, they would never. They wouldn't care. They'd be like,
no, they'd be all over it. They
on.
would be cheering them on. They would be lauding them in the streets, throwing roses at their feet, right? And that's the whole thing with statists, is that they get upset about the state excising its power when it's not their team.
Yep.
I
Right?
agree.
They don't care about...
Statism and tribalism work hand in hand.
Yeah, the
and
Constitution means
statists-
nothing to these people.
Of course it doesn't. And any time the left's getting power, the right are going to bitch and moan about the left being unconstitutional, but yet they're going to do the same thing when they get back in power. When are you going to wake up, people?
People do not have principles. 99% at least. Or whatever. That number is just something I said to make a point. Most people do not have principles. They have these things that they think are good and things that they think are bad.
Or things they call values that may not even be principles at all.
And they have no clue when they contradict each other. And they just have no problem with them contradicting each other too. It's like, I don't believe in stealing. Of course not. But of course I believe in taxing people on money that has nothing to do with me and making them give it to people like me. It's just it's about having a basic principle and sticking to it and not compromising. But for whatever reason, it's not just the left, it's both sides. But for whatever reason, the libertarians always get lumped more in with the right. And so therefore the left refuses to work with us. They think we're the mega right for some reason. It makes no sense. So Ridley, what else did you want to say about this bill?
One of the concerns that I had in 2021 when we first proposed and requested secession legislation was that this would just become a right-wing thing, because it was sort of perceived as being anti-Biden, and it would not continue into the period of time where right-wingers are in power, right? So this whole time while we've had right-wingers in power since 2021. We've had secession legislation every session. Of course, there's only one session so far, but it's good to keep this happening every session so that it's not just a right-wing thing, so that we're directed against the right wing whenever the right wing is in power, if that makes sense.
That's a really great point. Yeah, nobody can claim, like they used to say it about Matt Santonastasso on the news, that he was just crazy and put in these bills and he was a extreme right-winger. Yeah, they definitely can't claim that as much when we're trying to secede from the federal government and Trump's the president,
Yeah. The other good thing is that if you think about it, again, the other fear that I had was this stuff would only happen if we put all our energy into it, but instead it's become something that feeds itself and doesn't I don't think any free stater had to even request this.
Oh, okay.
And it's just the state rep did it on his own. It happens by itself now every
Nice.
session.
I didn't know that. I assumed you and other people were behind the scenes working on this.
I don't think so. I mean, someone else might have asked Glenn Bailey to do it. I don't think he's a free stater. I think he's a longtime New Hampshire resident who just happened to live in New Hampshire, but maybe he moved here. I don't know. But
he
again,
moved here from Marlborough, Massachusetts, he told me. But I just don't know if it's for the Free State Project or just a coincidence, but he's very friendly. He's he goes to Pork Fest and everything, and he's awesome.
Yeah. It's got its own legs now. And the other thing is that if you want to go to the hearing on January 23rd,
that's this Friday?
Yep, it's Friday at 1 p.m. in Concord, New Hampshire.
You don't go to the State House anymore, not for now, because I guess it's being renovated.
Whoa.
So it's called Granite Place, One Granite Place in Concord. And if you want the details on where it is and when it is, you would go to forum.shiresociety.com. That's been posted. So again, it's forum.shiresociety.com.
There's also an article at freeking.com if you want to go check that out too.
I hadn't heard that. That's weird. In the first year that I moved here, it was COVID. I was going to say they weren't meeting there the first year I moved here either. And it was because of COVID. They were meeting outside or something, but I didn't ever go to any of those meetings, so I don't know how that was or anything. I'm what's the word? Street viewing this One Granite Place, and it's in the middle of a freaking forest. I have no clue where this is in Concord, but thank you for the update, Ridley. Anything else for us?
I should probably sing the URL.
Yeah.
Forum.shiresociety.com.
.com. Thank you, Ridley, for the call. And if you want more of Ridley, go to ridleyreport.com. That's ridleyreport.com. 603-283-6160 is the phone number. And you can bring up whatever's on your mind. I'm really glad he brought that up. I didn't have an article, but I wanted to find a way before, like on one of the breaks, to bring it up. I have an email that the guy from Texit, which is Texas Exit, is sending around about it. I have his thing he's sending around about it, and I was maybe going to just go off of his bullet points, but it's really, I think it's a great thing. Just don't let the statists think we're just going to forget about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we got to make sure that the secession movement is alive and well here in New Hampshire. We're talking about, we're promoting it every single place we visit. We've even promoted secession in downtown Keene here in New Hampshire.
Yep. And I think that it's a great thing. I'll probably go to the hearing to testify. And honestly, in the last year or maybe even two, it's been brewing for a while. Just come to the conclusion that some other activists have, that I'm just I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters to go testify at a bill. I don't think it changes any freaking state rep's mind. I think they're already have their opinions, and they're not just gonna be oh, I never thought of that. I really don't think so. And it's if somebody is going to be that way, you could email them. But 99% of the time they're not going to be. The main reason I'm going to go to this one is because you can film yourself doing it and use your own video to spread the idea. You know what I mean? I'm not going to go there to try to change a state rep's mind. I don't see it working.
Oh, I think if you could change their mind, their party wouldn't have voted them in. Right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I can understand that perspective, because the people want the people supposedly representing them to think the same way they do and act the same way they do.
Well, it's clearly there are some people that voted against them. Clearly there are some people that voted for them but don't actually like everything about them. But they delude themselves that they were elected just simply because of everything that they stand for. And then there's a bit of an activist bend to all of them, because they only get paid $100 a year. They're not doing it for money at all.
True. They can't make it a
which
career.
Is good.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. It's good that they're not, gonna make it a career, right? But at the same time, it's you're doing this because you really believe in something, not because you're I don't really know what I believe. What do you think I should believe? And I'm not saying that is exactly the way I want them to be either, but I have a feeling that I'm going to go there and they're all going to be staring at me like they hate me for taking up a minute of their time, every single other time I've went to go talk to state reps. But the thing is, it wasn't always pointless. I got the video out of it, and people got to see the videos and hear what my thoughts. And I always think that saying something you think is helpful. It's going to go out into the world and hit the right person that you need it to hit. But I don't think that person's almost ever going to be a state rep. I just don't believe it. I asked some state reps. I'm in a chat with a whole bunch of state reps and other people that are activists in New Hampshire, and just other people too. And I just said, honestly, I'm not trying to dissuade anyone from doing it, but can you guys change my mind that it actually does anything? And some of the state reps were some of them may be on the edge, and then you might change their mind. And just basically saying exactly, well, yeah, that's the idea, but do you have proof
So we
of
should
that?
go into this with a sunk cost fallacy, maybe?
No, listen, all I was going to say is, I was can you actually, has that ever happened to you? Do you know anyone that actually happened to you? They went in there and they changed their mind?
I've never heard of it happening.
And the state reps even didn't, they are just assuming that that's how it works, just it's the circular reasoning. It's can somebody change my mind? I don't believe that it actually changes people's mind if you go and tell them your side story. And they're well, if you tell your side story, it may change someone's mind. It's that's not an answer. Have you ever seen it happen? And they don't. No one has said, I kept at it for a while, a couple days. No one said, yeah, actually there was a state rep and they were wow, that person changed my mind. I don't believe them. I think that they it's probably the first time anybody's asked them it just straight up. And they're well, of course it works that way. But no, you just think that because you're a good person, because obviously
you've been told that's how it works.
Yeah, and I'm in a chat with state reps that are Liberty reps, not one that's they're the Dems. I'm not talking to the Dems that are like, no, I'm in here to push progressivism, So anyways.
Well, that just makes me think about how deep and ingrained this stuff is in our own psyches.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Even
the anti-statists.
Yeah. How deep the system has been put into us that, like, we have blind spots. There's known knowns and there's known unknowns, but there's also unknown unknowns. There's things that we don't know that we don't know. You know what I mean? Like, there's stuff that we haven't even thought of looking at as to having problems yet, but they're there. And we just don't even know. We don't even know to think about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so deep in our own subconscious, we just overlook it, even though it could be a glaring issue. This is why we should
absolutely study what it would be like to secede from the United States and do a scenario.
Right. It's actually part of question everything. It's like Angela's talking about, basically just questioning everything. And this is actually exactly part of that. Every time we bring this up, every time Ian and I used to go around interviewing regular people about secession, and that got cut really badly short when Ian went to prison. But the main thing was people being like, I'm open to the idea, but how would this work? I'm open to the idea, but how would that work? They literally have questions, and people just need to go ask those questions and try to get answers for them. And that will help us to come to better conclusions about what we should do going forward. Should New Hampshire stay a part of the empire that tortures and kidnaps and murders all over the world? Or should we just become our own thing, let go of that bad karma that we're soaking up and making worse, and actually just try to be New Hampshire first? Clearly, Trump is not going to be America first, so why stay a part of it? Why are we stuck with the same rules?
I think people want to live in this dream that America is the greatest nation on earth when it's actually not the greatest nation on earth.
I think that I can't think of one that's better as far as other nations. It's like crap, comparing a bunch of different crap. But it could be so much better that people think, since this is currently the best, it can't get better. More Free Talk Live coming up. Don't go anywhere. 603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live. More coming up.
Excuse me, is this where I get a license to start a new business?
I wouldn't be hasty. You have to get a license to go out of business, too, you know.
Oh, well, look, I've invented this little anti-gravity machine, see?
Oh, is that why you're walking 2 inches above the floor?
Oh, yes, it's very comfortable. It saves on shoe leather.
Yeah, well, you have to fill out these forms and report to the Human Services Department of Manpower Orientation and register with the Fair Employment Practice Commission, the Wage and Hour Division of the Employment Standards Administration, the State Sales and Income Tax Division, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Social Security Administration of the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, and, of course, OSHA.
OSHA? I thought that was a little town in Wisconsin.
You'll find out. Say, floating around like that could be dangerous. Have you checked with the Consumer Product Safety Commission?
Well, not yet.
Come to think of it, you actually are flying, aren't you? Look, you need to go over to the Federal Aviation Administration and the Transportation...
It's very hard to get anything done these days if you're in business, but free enterprise built this country. Think what could happen if we don't keep it free. A public service of this station and the Center for the Defense of Free Enterprise, Bellevue, Washington.
We just can't have people floating about unregulated, you know.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann with the Week in Review. President Trump, speaking at the White House this week, told reporters that the Iranian regime has stopped killing protesters and has no plans to carry out executions. The president spoke amid growing speculation that he is planning to launch a military strike on Iran.
We've been told that the killing in Iran is stopping. It's stopping. And there's no plan for executions or executions. So I've been told that on good authority. We'll find out about it.
Top officials from Denmark and Greenland say they have found fundamental disagreement during talks with Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio this week over the future of the Danish-administered territory. From Washington, Simon Marks reports.
Denmark's Foreign Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen said the White House talks were frank but ended in an agreement to disagree. Flanked by Greenland's Foreign Minister, he accused President Trump of embracing untrue narratives about Russian and Chinese operations in the waters off the territory and reiterated Greenland is not for sale.
Our perspectives continue to differ, I must say. The President has made his view clear, and we have a different position.
The three parties did agree to create a high-level working group to see whether any kind of compromise is possible, and the first meeting of that working group is due to take place within weeks.
The Trump administration says it will indefinitely halt visa processing for immigrants from 75 countries, including Brazil, Russia and Iran. Tony Waterman has more from DC.
The countries on the list were chosen based on the Trump administration's belief that their nationals will require public assistance, like housing and food stamps, while living in the U.S. Anyone seeking permanent residency in the country is already required to prove they won't become a public charge. Officials say the suspension will only apply to immigrant applications, not to student or tourist visas.
China and Canada have announced a new strategic partnership aimed at easing tariffs and expanding cooperation. Ira Spitzer reports.
The two countries agreed to lower tariffs on Chinese-made electric vehicles and Canadian agricultural exports, signaling a reset in their strained relationship. After meeting Chinese leader Xi Jinping in Beijing, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney said that Canada must be pragmatic as the global trading system becomes less predictable. The deal would allow a limited number of Chinese electric vehicles into Canada at sharply reduced tariffs, while China is expected to cut duties on Canadian canola and other farm products. The move comes as Canada faces pressure from U.S. tariffs amid formal talks with the U.S. over the future of a North American trade pact.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann, and that was the Week in Review.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and 603-283-6160 is the phone number. That's 603-283-6160. And I'd like to thank Dan for being an amplifier with us here at Free Talk Live. That means that Dan went to amps.freetalklive.com and signed up to support the show. AMPS stands for Advertise, Market, Promote, and Support. Thanks to Dan and everyone who supports us. Again, that's amps.freetalklive.com. if you'd like to check out the perks and benefits of supporting the show. And with you on Free Talk Live, you've got me, Bonnie,
Riley O'Bill,
and Angelo.
And in the beginning of the segment at the beginning of the show, last segment, we started talking about how it's just a really weird thing. And in my opinion, at first I thought, oh, what's the point of bringing it up? It's just like whoa, what's up with that? No, that it actually does require a bunch of questions. It's so weird. Trump's house, aka Mar-a-Lago, which is a resort and also his house in Florida, they hosted a furry event, and it's just like, you can't make this stuff up. It sounds like a 2016 era joke.
It does.
When everything was funny.
Sounds like a meme.
When furry was funny, and yeah.
Well, I'm confused. So.
And it also sounds like something that would happen.
So
at
did
the
the resort put it on?
Well, it's Trump's resort.
Sure, but
it belongs to him.
That makes sense. But I mean, like, if there's do they do a lot of different kinds of retreats at Mar-a-Lago? This feels
they
like.
Do. They definitely do.
Trump's a businessman, dude. They came to him with a number, and the number was high enough for him to say yes.
I don't think that it's just that, because this is your face. This is your brand. This isn't like anyone. I don't even think it's like absolutely anyone just come and rent Mar-a-Lago. It's like Trump. These are Trump's things that he gets to host. It says a private event at Donald Trump's Florida resort. I don't know. That I was gonna say, I thought it said Donald Trump's private event when I first went to read that. Let's just look into it and see what it says about it. It still, in my opinion, it still says something about him. And even if it's like, well, I just accepted money, like, yeah, right, I don't believe you, because I wouldn't okay something that wasn't like like extremely not on brand for me. Like, imagine my house and I just let people have a anti-freedom party here, and I'm like, well, money. Like, I'm not saying me and Donald Trump are exactly the same amount of like principled. I'm saying people would
could they sue
be
him
allowed
for
to say
something. Discrimination though?
I really doubt it. I don't. It's private. It's not like it's not a government.
Well, yeah, but they're not like doing sexual things in the open. If they rented a bunch of rooms, like hotel rooms,
you absolutely have the ability to say no. We're not going to host this here. Like I can't see why they would be able to sue them, especially in Florida. Like.
Yeah, I guess in Florida. I feel like in California. Well, I feel like that would just be like, oh, you're discriminating against us because we are furries.
But you're allowed to say no shirt, no shoes, no service. You're allowed to kick somebody out of your building. And also the thing is that we'll learn. It's not like they were just like, oh, we're furries. It was a American Humane Society event, but furries were the entertainment. See what I'm saying?
Whoa. Okay. I mean, maybe that's crazy. So it was put on by the American Humane Society.
Yeah, it wasn't one of those things that's like furries meet up in.
It wasn't like a furry con.
Rooms. Yeah, it's not even hotel rooms. I don't think there. Now that I think of it, or maybe I'm wrong.
Well, if it's a resort, I feel like resorts have like
maybe they have rooms to stay there. It says a private event at Donald Trump's, and this is from MSN.com. It says a private event at President Donald Trump's Florida resort was accused of hosting MAGA furries. That part doesn't even make any sense, like, to my brain. It's like, in like I said, 2016, if this happened somewhere, we would just assume it was like the Democratic National Convention. Like, it doesn't even make any sense with Republicans. So it says, last weekend, Mar-a-Lago hosted the American Humane Society's 15th annual Hero Dog Awards Gala. The organization raised money for dogs who work with law enforcement and first responders. See what I'm saying? It's like you can't mix this and Republicans. It's weird.
It is weird. New. It sounds like the.
Well, I can. It makes sense that Republicans would want to give medals to cop dogs.
No, I'm saying that's exactly what I'm saying. That's the Republican aspect. The furry aspect is like, this is weird. It's like humiliation.
Log cabin furries.
Yeah, it's like humiliation ritual stuff, though. It doesn't make any sense. So it says the organization raised money for dogs who work with law enforcement and first responders, trader dogs. Not first responders, but anyways. The red carpet event featured cocktails, dinner, and professional dancers. Here's another thing about that. I keep seeing the people working, the professional dancers, and it's like they're just bopping around in these furry costumes. They're not like, wow, look at what they can do. That's entertaining and awesome. We have a caller on the line, and I think we should stop in the middle of this for a second to go to the phones, because the point of Free Talk Live is to bring up whatever's on your mind. And 603-283-6160 is the phone number. Reverend Ratspeed in Nevada, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Good,
it's been a while
since
I called in.
Yeah,
it's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a busy life for me. Yeah.
Good.
So I'm glad that everything's doing well. And by the way, Connie, go ahead and just say, give my best regards to Ian whenever you have the chance to. I hope he's doing well.
Thank you.
I was just calling up real quick because I've been in the furry fandom since the 1990s.
Whoa, I didn't know we went back that far.
Oh my God! There's actually a documentary that's been out since 2020 or 2021 called The Fandom. Beautiful documentary. It was made by some furries that are out of Colorado. If you want to get a really good inside understanding about how it came to be and everything, and kind of know the subculture and all that. But yeah, I thought it was kind of funny, kind of goofy. It's like, okay, yeah, there's a bunch of people dressing up in dog costume, kind of, Antoinette kind of, 18th century stuff. I think it's kind of a stretch to call it furry. I understand that furry can be pretty much anything you want it to be, but honestly, furry, it really is kind of like its own subculture, so I can kind of spot it and recognize it. This is just pretty much some people dressing up in some kind of, I would want to call it like like a masquerade kind of thing.
Right.
It's
Actually,
got a different vibe.
I definitely wanted to get into that. In this article, I specifically chose it because it does reference like masquerade things, but the thing is,
yeah,
furry, I understand that it's a very specific thing, but every time anyone watches what is it called? Dang it, the Stanley Kubrick, not Eyes Wide Shut, but the hotel one. Shining?
The Shining, yeah.
And you see that scene where a guy is like in a dog costume. It's not cartoons. It's not the anime looking. It's not 1990s era and today furry, but like colloquially, people who aren't into it will say furry. And I'm not saying
I know
that's
I know,
okay. Or, and
So
I'm glad that
I don't even know what I gotta look at the pictures
from
from the Trump thing. I don't even know what they look like.
And
I mean, ever since they started falling for the whole kitty litter box, meme and all of that. I mean, I don't know if you guys know about that, but that whole meme started years ago as a troll. And it's so funny how the Republicans just kind of caught on with it, and the whole QAnon people just like took it and ran with it like part of their gospel. So,
well, just so you know, Reverend Ratspeed, Angelo went to a very liberal Oregon.
Yeah, dude, I was coaching high school kids, and they told me they had litter boxes in the school now.
There were litter boxes in the school.
Wow.
Legitimately.
Interesting.
And I was 20. I'd been out of high school for 3 years.
What did you say? China?
No, Oregon.
Oregon.
Oh, Oregon. Oh, I thought you said China. Sorry.
Maybe I said Portland. I didn't mean to, but
litter boxes in China.
No, the kids. I was flabbergasted. I was like, dude, I've been graduated for 4 years, and
but how do you know they weren't trolling you? I mean,
they were pretty. If they were trolling, dude, it was the most deadpan troll I've ever seen in my life.
Getting completely off track here, but like the whole Therian thing. I don't know if you're familiar with Therians.
No.
No. Okay, so they're their own deal. They go back. Basically, Therians and other kin are kind of like the idea that you are something other than what you are. It's almost like it's not related to furry, although it's tangentially kind of connected to it. They got their own little fandom. Anyway, the funny thing is about the Therians, they kind of think of like werewolves, lichens, Therians, and other kin. They have their own thing going on. I've never been part of it. But when that whole Therian thing started becoming trendy with all the kids on TikTok, all of the Therians that had been in the Therian fandom for a long time were like, oh God, they're doing exactly what the stereotype is. And I'm just like, the whole thing is like, you know how they say, like, oh yeah, furries are trying to groom our kids to be like, transsexual, transgender, and all that kind of thing. So they were playing into that. There's a ton of politics and drama that happens in these fandoms. It's so funny but the thing that really strikes me is how political the furry fandom became when originally it was just a bunch of nerds who kind of sprang off from the anime fandom of the early 80s and decided to start having their own anthropomorphic, animals doing human things fandom. And now these days it's like a political battle call where you have a bunch of right wingers that are like pushing for like the banning of furries or fursuiting and all this stuff. It's so funny how weird this is. And the people that originally made the fandom, they saw it and they're just kind of shaking their head but at the same time they realize, well, yeah, we've always been trying to be who we want to be and be free and being able to express yourself and artistically talk about, this interest. And, it's interesting to see how it has suddenly become this cultural political icon where suddenly you have the Daily Beast talking about furries. But then again, I'm not surprised because the tabloids, they've always taken advantage of a furry as something to kind of like a spectacle to kind of wonder and gaze at and wonder, oh, what are all these weird people about? There are a bunch of nerds that are into half human, half animal stuff. That's it. I mean, that goes way back in our culture. That goes back in so many different cultures. So
yeah, and actually
it's
that's
all about art.
An important point. I think that the least thing, like at the very beginning of the show when I said, honestly, and it's like, typically I don't have anything to say about furries. It's like, do what you want. Yeah. The least important... Wait, no, I'm not done.
Go.
The least important thing to me is the fandom type furries. Before that, when you think of The Shining, there actually is some dark, creepy stuff involved in doing this type of thing. I'm not saying that your exact movement or anyone you've ever met was into anything dark, but it's a callback. And in
no,
fact,
those do not look like furries. Whatever those pictures are, that doesn't look like the anthropomorphic. The things I'm thinking of that you would see at like a convention.
I have it pulled up here, and it's like
it is not what the Trump pictures look like.
It is slightly different because the ones with the Marie Antoinette, the Trump Mar-a-Lago Marie Antoinette. American Humane Society ones have a dress on, but the head it doesn't look like a literal real wolf like those horse head ones look really realistic. It looks cartoony, and it's honestly similar. It's not face paint, it's a whole mask, and I'm not saying that says anything about the furry.
Yeah, I mean, some furries are into face painting. I just wanted to say that, like, whenever you see a guy show up at a party that has the rubber horse head on, you don't call him a furry.
Well, that looks totally different. That was my point of one that looks totally different.
Exactly. And I think just that these tabloids have caught on to the word furry because it's clickbait. It's what it is. It's just I have no idea what's going on at Mar-a-Lago. I don't give a damn. And the thing about Stanley Kubrick is he's always had that penchant for wanting to talk about the dark, seedy underworld of the upper class. I mean, ever since he did Lolita, he talked about that, and then the same thing with The Shining, and then again with Eyes Wide Shut. It's always been a theme of his to like kind of pull people into that underground because of course they're rich, they're filthy, they got tons of money, and they take advantage of the lower classes, and of course they're going to party around, and it's just a callback to the same sort of Marquis de Sade, bourgeoisie type of class difference. I think that is what Stanley was into. But yeah, I just wanted to say that. I mean, it's not a big deal. I'm looking at this. It's the same thing as like, okay, if I saw a bunch of people dressing up as pirates, would I say that they're into the pirate fandom, which there is one? If they're, dressing up in Renaissance fair outfits, are they part of fair? You'd have to talk to each individual person, but these people dancing around and having a party, I mean, God, let them have fun, whatever. Let them eat cake.
Yeah, I think it's become bigger than just like, I don't think people, when they hear even us saying like, oh, they had furries and they hosted a furry event, I don't think people are like, oh, you mean like TM, like the fandom? I think it's just become a thing where it's like, somebody could never go to any event like furry TM the fandom.
Well, I feel like these things fracture, right? Because the niche right takes over, and then eventually the niche is so different from the original tree that it's its own beast. Like, so like where is the line? Like some people may just like enjoying the art, and then some people internalize it to a point where it's like they sexualize these characters that they've come up with, right? So like these things float in certain directions.
I don't want to take up a bunch of your time because I want to get at different callers and everything, but it's actually great that you have fewer commercials. I just wanted to, would you like to hear can I recite a few lines from a poem called the Furry Poem back from 1995? And I think it would really encapsulate the feeling behind the actual furry fandom.
Sure,
why not?
May I do that? Okay, so this was a poem that was written by a furry called Crocodile of Tiger Muck. And if you go back to the old days, mucks and muds were text-based role-play worlds where you could basically go on as your character and interact with other people. Kind of the same thing as like VR chat these days, except it's all text. Anyway, so here's it's called Furry. He goes, if the true meaning of furry you wish to understand, you must think in terms of paw and not hand. You must release your mentality from society's cage, for furry prefers no race, sex, persuasion, or age. You must sort through the hype and the exploitation, because to be furry needs no justification. It is to reach out and embrace the unknown, to be surrounded by friends and yet still be alone. It is not a gimmick or a political movement. It's nothing so much pretentious as a method of improvement. It is only to seek solace in the presence of friends, for when one is furry, the search never ends. And it's always been a beautiful poem to me. It's never been any kind of a movement or anything. It's basically just people trying to have fun and be themselves and just be themselves. And the original fandom, because I got involved in the 90s, there weren't even a lot of fursuiters around. That didn't come around until it's kind of ironic when the tabloids started pointing the cameras at all of the fursuiters. Hey, it started becoming popular. And that's not to say that it wasn't part of the fandom. It was just like a very minute part. You have to kind of like imagine like a Star Trek convention. That's kind of the atmosphere that it was back in the old days. So now these days you see tons of fursuits, and there's nothing wrong with that. It became part of the fandom, but originally it was just a very minute part. The original people were all about the art, about being into, old comic books that were around at the time. And it's just basically nerds, and they found each other and like, hey, you're into the same thing I'm into. Let's start having room parties. And so it would be at BayCon and WonderCon and WorldCon and all of these different conventions that were around the area. And eventually they became older, and the newer generation, the internet came around. People started chatting and talking online and kind of getting into their characters. And that's where people started having like alternate personas, because, when you're in text, you can be anyone that you want to be. So why not be the character that you wish you could be? And it was just about that. And then I remember having old memories of going to conventions where like I knew that my friend that I had been talking to online for months or sometimes even years, they were going to be there. And it was so exciting to be able to actually meet them in person, because back then everything was pretty much text-based, and there was no Web 2.0, there was no YouTube or social media. So sometimes what would happen is we'd all be in the internet room, which was a rarity back then, because, there was no Wi-Fi, there was no cell phones kind of thing. And like I would find out that my best friend that I have known for years was sitting 2 rows away from me at the other computer, and we're like, oh my God, here you are. That's the kind of that's how it was back then. And it's so kind of it's very abstract, and it's something that you can't point a camera at. So the camera's pointed at the people wearing the costumes. That's how the whole thing kind of started. But yeah, it's gone back way back. So yeah. Do you have any questions for an authentic furry?
No, but thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Raspy. That was really interesting.
Absolutely. But yeah, the Mar-a-Lago, whatever. Let them do whatever they want to. It's not, to me, it doesn't seem like furry, but hey, they're having fun. Who knows? Who knows what they're doing in their bedrooms? I don't care. That's their own personal business.
I don't think it's even like getting to the bedrooms in this situation, but thanks for the call, Reverend Ratspeed from Nevada. And the thing about this is,
I wonder if his persona's a rat.
Yeah, I've always wondered that. I almost said something like, "Oh, I bet Ratspeed might
he's a priestly
to say about
rat."
It. But I didn't want to
That's
say
awesome.
I never
right,
knew
dude.
for sure if he was a furry. Like if he was out
keep
about
priesting on, rat man.
But anyways, the thing about it is like I too talk about, am interested in the dark side of the powerful people on the planet. People have gathered all this power. I don't like to call them the elites. That's just like ridiculous and stupid.
Well, they view themselves as such.
Exactly. And I don't like to say it because it's like I don't view them as such. So that's exactly why it's important to me. I don't understand being like, oh, well, it's just the people who have all the power over your life and doing weird things. Like, I don't understand not wanting to talk about that. Seriously, yeah. I understand getting tired of it sometimes and taking a break, because it's like it gets far darker than just like wearing a suit.
Some of the things they do seem kind of insane.
If you read the actual book, which I've never read, the book of about The Shining, if one were to read the actual book, the quick little scene where it shows the guy in the quote-unquote furry suit. Listen, when you're part of a thing that becomes bigger, you can't control that other people use the word. Like rave was an underground specific thing, and then in the 2000s, like stupid high school kids are having like, it's totally a rave, even though you buy a ticket and you go to it and it's out in the open and like...
Yeah, raves used to be in like warehouse parties.
Exactly. So... Whatever. Furry. I'm just going to continue to use the word furry because people know what I'm talking about. So when you see the furry scene in The Shining, it's just a quick thing. You're like, what the heck was that? But if you read the book, it's really freaking dark. There's like this rich man who has this gay prostitute, I think. It might not be a prostitute, but he's a gay guy that falls in love with him. But he just like this rich guy,
Mr. Slaves him?
yes, uses him to like humiliate him and do disgusting things, ultimately making him do something so disgusting that he kills himself in the book. And it's just like, and one of the things he does to embarrass him is makes him dress like a dog and act like a dog at parties for the other rich freaks. And it's like, if you're like, well, why does that matter? It's the psychology of the weird freaking people that think they have control over you and you're their slave matters. I don't know why people don't care. It's like, I'm not saying, hey, Trump might be wearing a suit with Melania at night and I'm mad about it. Why do people like have to have this weird shield? It's like, if you say anything that sounds remotely right wing, it's a perfect. It
I
was
think
so
people are
amazing.
afraid of being a conspiracy theorist
That's exactly
because
what I
then you
was gonna
sound
say.
like a kook.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. It was the most beautiful, perfect, chef's kiss, evil thing to make the word conspiracy theory look bad in any way.
Well, but the conspiracy theorists have been proven right. Like it used to work.
When Alex Jones was great. He was all about conspiracy theories and he was so fascinating. But now he's kind of boring because it's all about Trump.
Exactly.
Well, because everything he talked about became mainstream, and it turned out that he was right. The water was turning the frogs gay. Like if you looked into it, that was atrazine. That's
Yep.
what was happening. He wasn't lying. And people, I think they're starting to get proven right, these conspiracy
And
theorists.
these things have real world implications for us. The way that the freaks that run your state and everything else around you, the corporations think, it matters and has real world implications. More Free Talk Live coming up, 603-283-6160. Bring up whatever's on your mind.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people like passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann with the Week in Review. President Trump, speaking at the White House this week, told reporters that the Iranian regime has stopped killing protesters and has no plans to carry out executions. The president spoke amid growing speculation that he is planning to launch a military strike on Iran. But he told reporters he has information that the situation inside the country is improving.
We've been told that the killing in Iran is stopping. It's stopped. It's stopping. And there's no plan for executions or executions. So I've been told that on good authority. We'll find out about it. I'm sure if it happens, we'll all be very upset.
Top officials from Denmark and Greenland say they have found fundamental disagreement during talks with Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio this week over the future of the Danish-administered territory. From Washington, Simon Marks reports.
Denmark's Foreign Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen said the White House talks were frank but ended in an agreement to disagree. Flanked by Greenland's Foreign Minister, he accused President Trump of embracing untrue narratives about Russian and Chinese operations in the waters off the territory and reiterated Greenland is not for sale.
Our perspectives continue to differ, I must say. The President has made his view clear, and we have a different position.
The three parties did agree to create a high-level working group to see whether any kind of compromise is possible. Greenland's Foreign Minister Vivian Motzfeldt.
I think it's very important to say it again that how important it is from our side to strengthen our cooperation with the United States. But that doesn't mean that we want to be owned by the United States.
And the first meeting of that working group is due to take place within weeks.
The Trump administration says it will indefinitely halt visa processing for immigrants from 75 countries, including Brazil, Russia and Iran. The State Department says this latest restriction, which kicks in the coming days, is aimed at people trying to, quote, extract wealth from the American people. Tony Waterman has more from D.C.
The countries on the list were chosen based on the Trump administration's belief that their nationals will require public assistance, like housing and food stamps, while living in the U.S. Anyone seeking permanent residency in the country is already required to prove they won't become a public charge. Officials say the suspension will only apply to immigrant applications, not to student or tourist visas. A large number of people are expected to travel to the U.S. for the World Cup later this year and the Summer Olympics in 2028.
China and Canada have announced a new strategic partnership aimed at easing tariffs and expanding cooperation. The agreement comes as Canada faces growing trade uncertainty with the United States. Ira Spitzer reports.
The two countries agreed to lower tariffs on Chinese-made electric vehicles and Canadian agricultural exports, signaling a reset in their strained relationship. After meeting Chinese leader Xi Jinping in Beijing, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney said that Canada must be pragmatic as the global trading system becomes less predictable. The deal would allow a limited number of Chinese electric vehicles into Canada at sharply reduced tariffs, while China is expected to cut duties on Canadian canola and other farm products. The move comes as Canada faces pressure from U.S. tariffs amid formal talks with the U.S. over the future of a North American trade pact. The agreement has raised concerns in Washington that closer ties with China could complicate relations with the U.S., Canada's largest trading partner. Ira Spitzer, San Francisco.
Almost 40% of young workers in the UK took time off from their jobs last year because of burnout. That's according to new research by the charity Mental Health UK, which is calling for managers to have more open conversations about well-being. It says young adults in the UK are facing pressures both inside and outside of work. Clinical psychologist Dr. Nihara Kraus says employers could be doing more to help younger staff.
The stress is often connected with the productivity that young people think they require in order to hold on to their job, together with all of the sort of extraneous factors in terms of not feeling the reward is sufficient, worrying about job security, immense competition. And so all of that leads to higher and higher effort, anxiety-driven productivity, and then ultimately feeling like they're burning out.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann, and that was the Week in Review.
According to a report released Monday, Americans currently lead the world in compressing big sandwiches into sufficiently biteable sizes, outranking countries such as Germany, Slovenia, and Ukraine in their sheer capacity to squeeze BLTs, meatball subs, and grinders into shapes that will easily and efficiently fit into their open mouths. Researchers pointed out that in series after series of tests, Americans consistently topped international rankings by implementing over 800 pounds per square inch of compressive force on sandwich categories as diverse as banh mi, croque monsieurs, or gyros, rarely hesitating for more than a moment before diving in and pushing the bread together and wedging it into their mouths.
Even in the cases in which Americans failed to sufficiently compress a sandwich and, say, dropped a stray piece of bacon or avocado, they still led the pack on quickly scooping up this topping with their hands and eating it, sometimes even inventively doing so with a stray potato chip or french fry.
This is the Onion News Network.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and 603-283-6160 is the phone number. That's 603-283-6160. With you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie,
Riley O'Bill,
and Angelo.
And of course, there's always lots of things to talk about. It's weird. Trump was doing this thing right when he got elected where it was like, oh, we have lots to talk about. There's nonstop weird things Trump is doing. And then that went away for a while, and now he's back, and he's doing the same thing. Agree?
Yeah, well, Pax Americana.
What does that mean?
Well, Pax Romana was like Forever Rome.
Oh.
So I'm just saying Pax Americana.
Forever America.
That's where we're at. Well, look, I watched this video the other day, and it made me think about things. Talking about that we're not in the fall of the Roman Republic or the Roman Empire, right? We're in the Dutch Empire from the 1700s. And what happened there is that
weren't they selling slaves or something?
Yeah, but what happened was the Dutch found it more profitable to, instead of keep investing in their own country, to move all their money offshore and quit investing in their infrastructure. And they put all their money from the Dutch East India Trading Company, pulled all of their money out and put it into the British East India Trading Company.
Why?
Because it made them more money.
Okay.
It was more profitable
Like
for investing. It was more profitable to invest outside of the country, and eventually all of the money disappeared from the Netherlands. And when it came time to defend their empire, they had no money, and the quality of life was in the toilet, and all of the money had disappeared. The elites ran off with the wealth, and started strip mining the working man for the rest of it. And then when the ship sank, they just dipped and moved.
So they could start stripping later out of their furry suits.
Yeah.
It's all connected. If you weren't listening to the last segment, we were talking about why does Trump doing a furry thing at Mar-a-Lago matter? Let's say I'm wrong and it's just like has nothing to do with Trump. And also it's not weird at all. Like you just have no reason to call it weird. Let's say I'm wrong. Well, it's just a one-time gaffe, but I really just doubt it. I don't think Trump just lets something happen. And it's not just Trump himself, because like I'm always of two minds at all times. It's always like he's a puppet or he's not a puppet, and then he's like one of them. One of those two things are true, and it doesn't really matter in this case. It's like he could be a puppet. Well, the people in control of him wouldn't let this happen just because no reason. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, he has so much money, like I really doubt it's like, and the thing is like at a certain point when you have enough power, you don't like just need more money.
Or he's a golem.
What does that mean?
So the golem originates, it's like an old Jewish folktale about
creating a little homunculus?
Yeah, like a homunculi, but a big one that defended the town, and eventually it turned on the town and they had to destroy it. But for a time, this creature that they created did their every whim and was destroying and vanquishing their enemies. And I don't know, maybe Trump is more of a golem. He still has strings attached, but it's more of like somebody holding the chains to Cerberus, thinking that, you know...
He'll never turn on them?
Yeah, and sometimes he'll jerk and rip his handlers in a certain direction because he wants to be free. Like, you know what I mean? His ego. Yeah, he wants to be free. He wants his ego to dictate his. You know what I mean? He's ego driven. He wants to do everything he wants to do, but somebody's holding that chain to this to the pit bull that is Trump, right? This creature that's been created. And that thing may lunge in a certain direction, and it'd be like, well, that doesn't seem like something Trump would do if he was an elite. But and then he'll turn around and do something that, you know, nah, man, he's obviously a puppet, like you're saying, like. And I think it is that he's this golem, he's this entity that they've created, and they're struggling to control him.
It seems like he wants to plant confusion in their minds because he wants them to be anxious and
in ours.
Oh yeah.
I
and
agree.
us too.
I think that you're probably on to something because I've always just been like, why did Trump actually free Ross when he could have just been like, oh yeah, that's just a thing I told the libertarians to get them to vote for me.
But then voting doesn't. Then that seems you're still assuming that voting matters, right?
No, I'm not. I'm saying like
I think Trump did it to.
it could be just to get your power, but he didn't. He actually freed Ross.
I think he did it to show that I'm a man of my word, so people will trust me. But in a few months, they're gonna forget. And then I can do whatever I want.
Honestly, I feel like that doesn't even hold up because it's like he showed such a few people in the world. How many people do you know that really care about Ross? I was like,
not many.
It was like the day before Trump was gonna take office, and we were like, oh, is he gonna do? And there were people that I was like posting it on like my Instagram stuff. People were like, who's that? And I was like, I forget. Like people don't freaking know who this is. I wouldn't have known who this was if I didn't start listening to Free Talk Live. So, you know, that's what, 2020? I didn't know who Ross was until I started listening to Free Talk Live. I hadn't heard of it. I had heard of the Silk Road and everything. I just didn't even hear about it being torn down. In fact, you know what? I don't think I had heard about the Silk Road. I just knew you could buy drugs on the internet, so my bad. I don't think I knew about the Silk Road. I didn't know about Ross until I started listening to Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live was the only place I've ever heard about Ross Ulbricht. That's how I came to know about him, came to know that he was unjustly imprisoned.
And so my point about it is, like, he wouldn't be, like, across the nation shown to be not a man of his word by not doing that one thing. It would be, like, a few people, and we would have such small voices for the most part that, like, it wouldn't change the average person's opinion of him. So that's why I think it's just genuinely he did a thing and he wanted to do.
No, I think that is him, and it's almost like, I think and the more he lunges, right, eventually that chain may break, and what kind of monster is Donald Trump if he has no handler?
And
I don't know.
That's where I think it's important to consider as well, because I think some people might hear us saying this and thinking we're saying, because I brought the Ross thing in, especially, oh, he's secretly a libertarian under all. No, that's not what I'm saying. I think he's really selfish, and I think he's one of those weirdos who were raised, probably raped by his like family members and stuff, because that's what they do.
Well, and I think that's the problem with kings, right? You can have a really great king, right? So when you have a really good king, and I you know, maybe some people disagree with me, but when you have a really, really, really good king, stuff is really, really, really good in your kingdom, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like if you have a super benevolent, moral, upright, somebody who actually acts fairly, right? Like a King Solomon, if you would, things work out really well. And when you get a tyrant in, things are really, 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 really bad, because they have the power to destroy everybody, right? So if they're really bad at their job, you get really bad results, and if they're really good at the job, you get really good results. And I don't think that's worth the gamble of having a king, right? It just isn't. But that's just, that's what works. So I mean, some people I think some people do want a King Trump, right? They would rather just let him off the leash and see what he does, because maybe they can get helped in the long run. But giving that kind of power to anybody is just asking for disaster, regardless if the guy's benevolent or not. I don't think he is.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that people who want to have a ruler who's off the leash don't really know what they're asking for.
Yeah, we've never seen anything exactly like that in America. So
yeah,
it's like the Hoppian people. They say that, oh well, having a kingdom is actually better than a democracy, and I think that maybe it's possibly true.
If you have a good person as king, but you are not guaranteed a good king, right? You know what I mean? There's no guarantor there.
The idea with the Hoppians, they say that at least a king would have a incentive to keep things going well, and the incentive would be, well, getting killed, one, or two, like getting turned on by your soldiers, and then also, oh, I'm just going to start these wars. Wait, where are all my soldiers going? Like, you technically have an incentive to not, like, let people die because you need them for... But it's just like, I don't think the world works like that anymore. So I don't even know if it's that good.
Well, true, but now we're facing a monster of a bureaucracy where it doesn't matter how many heads we cut off, we keep seeing 8 more pop up in their place. Right? So now it's a faceless enemy that we can't pinpoint. We can't pin them down. You think you have them, and it's like an ooze that slips between your fingers and slithers off into the dark corners of their bureaucracy where you can't find them to rebuild their, almost like
Smiths.
Sauron.
And they're Smiths from the Matrix.
Or Smiths, right? Like they get sent to Mordor, or they lose their physical form and they have to go hide in the dark recesses, the nastiest pits on the earth, and regain their power until they can rear their ugly head again. And I feel like with somebody like a king, like Sauron, a mega bad guy, it takes him longer to regenerate. It takes that figure longer to regenerate in the darkness, instead of a Hydra that has 8 heads that can regrow them fast.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, on Free Talk Live, I always like to point out the fact that its power is the problem, and it's not that we're like, oh, why don't we just switch to being a king because of exactly what you're saying. Like, human rights would be violated if there was a person that had unchecked power that could do whatever he wants. Even if, on average, he did less bad things. Okay, well, what if you're the guy who he chooses that I'm king and I want your wife, so I'm going to kill you? You see what I'm saying? And like 99% of everything else he does is good. And I'm not arguing with you. I know you.
Or even worse, he doesn't kill you. He enlists you in the army and then positions you in a place to where he knows you're going to die. So he didn't actually kill you. He just
and then everybody
killed
still
you.
thinks he's great, you know?
Yeah. Looking at you, King David.
And that's what really sucks about King David did that in the Bible?
Yep.
Whoa.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
Yeah, isn't it? And this guy was his best friend too, by the way.
Who?
The guy King David sent. It was his best friend, and David wanted to marry his wife, but he couldn't because it was his best friend's wife. So he just sent his best friend to the front line where he knew he'd be killed.
That's insane. That's really gross.
Oh, yeah. Well, the story goes on, and God was not very happy that he did that. So, bad things happen to David, yada, yada, yada. Go read the book if you want the rest of the story. But
yeah. God is so great in that book because he was so unhappy that David did that. So he goes and punishes David by, if I'm thinking of the same story, I know this happens in the book of David. Something bad that David does, it might be exactly that. I'm not sure, but I think it is. He punishes David by having all of his many wives raped in public.
That's wild.
Because God's just so great. I mean, Yahweh, so great. I hate him. Anyways.
Why do you hate Yahweh so much?
Well, do you think it's good to have women raped in public to punish their husband?
I don't think so. But some people think that God would do it because he is great.
Then I think they should check themselves.
I would agree with you there, because here we have a problem. If you think God is great all the time, and here he is commanding rape of children, then is he really great all the time?
I don't know if they were necessarily children, but now that I think of it, I don't know. Maybe some of them were like way under what we would normally think in America. I don't know about that one, but he also did one other thing in the same, I think it was in the King David book as well, where there was this man that was like, I'll do anything for something that he wanted. I don't remember what it was. To like win a battle. And God was like, okay, well, you'll win the battle. I'll help you win the battle. But you have to agree that the next person...
Oh, no. So it wasn't like... They say that God punished David by having this happen, but it wasn't like they ritualistically did this. His son staged a rebellion and then did that to his dad. Does that make sense? His son took 10 of his dad's wives and then did the raping. This wasn't like a liturgical thing where they it wasn't like a blessed service or anything, if that makes sense. It wasn't like where they walked around and
it was far more than just, it just happened. It was God's punishment.
Well, that's how the Hebrews describe it, as God's punishment. But what really the actual thing that happened was his son rebelled, and then that was an act he did that during war.
Wasn't in a physical human body. He had to use people to do things.
Sure, I'm just saying that I thought for a second that there was some priest might have said that this is how David had to repent, and they dragged them out into the streets and did it in a ritualistic way, which was horrifying.
I don't think that changes anything.
me. Oh, you don't think?
If God's punishment is however he's going to let it happen, there wasn't just like somebody above King David who was going to tell him like, no, this is how you have to do it. It was except God. God made it happen as punishment for what he did. I think you need to go beyond the AI thing before looking.
No, I'm just saying well, I mean but that's just what the Jews claim that was God's divine punishment. I thought it was like some weird like cult stuff.
No, it wasn't just like, oh, this happened, and then we're like, hey, this was God's divine punishment. I think no, God demanded it. Yeah, I think we just need to like actually pull up the text if we're going to talk about it.
Well, no, I'm just saying. So, like, did God come down and demand that this be the retribution? Like, I don't think there was like a message from God.
I think we should pull up the text and look at it if we can.
Well, I don't think that we can do it without people continuing talking because I'm the only one with thumbs.
Well, I'm just thinking. Well, what the AI says is the Hebrew Bible narrative includes accounts of sexual assault, yada yada. It says specifically, 10 of David's concubines were publicly raped by his son Absalom during a rebellion.
Oh.
But what does that change about what I said? What was specifically?
So there was a crazy priest named
Absalom.
Ahithophel told Absalom to have sex with David's concubines in public, which would make Absalom's claim to the throne as legit.
I don't know exactly what you're talking about right there, but the thing is, first of all, it's pretty suspect when you Google text of God punishing David by having his wives raped, and it's not one of the first things to pop up here at all. I'm not getting an AI thing, which is always kind of it's not even in the book of David, it's in 2 Samuel, I think. I'm starting to find it. Anyways, it's just like, that's what I'm trying to say. I don't think we can just pull something up and try to read it from the Bible on the show because we're all just getting silent and it's making for a bad show.
That's fair.
But
yeah,
the thing is, it's clearly being hidden as well. Like it's in the Bible and you can find it, but when you just try to Google about it, apparently Google doesn't want you to know about it.
Huh.
Which would seem counterproductive to how Google acts about the Bible or whatever. Isn't like the left supposed to be super big into dunking on Christianity? Isn't that like the whole like secular science age? Why would you believe in a fairy tale?
Yeah, but I don't think that Google is necessarily just quote unquote the left. Sometimes I think they use it when it's necessary for them. But at the same time, this is also a book said to be the word of God by the Jews. And they're not just the left. It's getting into all kinds of things.
Yeah, that opens up an entire different avenue of stuff.
It's in 2 Samuel, and we could probably talk about it in the next book. But I feel like there was like a more important reason we were talking about it at all. We were talking about kings and the whole Mar-a-Lago thing. I feel like we talked about it for so long now. It's like normally like people on the show would be like, no, let's move on, or they get bored. But I do want to just read a couple paragraphs here so we don't just leave it at, we speculate a few things and none of us know anything about it and then we move on, because especially when it's like, like Ratspeak calls in and he's kind of seems a little, I'm not sure if offended would be the right word or if he would say that, but I don't want to make it like we just point and laugh and move on, because I want to get to like the things I think are actually important about it, one, and two, I also don't want to be like spreading misinformation. So as we said in the last segment, it was a party hosted by the American Humane Society's 15th annual Hero Dog Awards Gala, and it's dogs who work for police and also first responders. So some evil and some non-evil dogs. No, I'm just kidding. No dogs are evil. It's just, except German Shepherds, but it's just that they can be used for evil things. I'm just kidding about the German Shepherd thing, but it's just interesting to me that they're always the cop dog.
Oh no, Belgian Malinois are the cop dogs.
Well, like that's the same thing to me is what I mean.
Oh, okay.
I know
all
they're
right, that's
literally
fine.
not the same thing, but it's just like those are all the same thing to me.
Yeah, it's a shepherd dog from a different European country that's right next to Germany.
And they all have this like exact same temperament. Like it's like, yes, Chihuahuas all have this same quote unquote temperament, but like you can literally tell them apart. You have like three Belgian Malinois in a room, and you don't know which is which if they run around in a circle. You see what I'm saying? There's something weird about those dogs. They have these eyes that don't look, there's like lacking soul. A wolf has more soul than a freaking Belgian Malinois or German Shepherd or any other one of those things that look exactly freaking same. Like, I don't care if it's got a different, and you're like, technically it's this. I don't care.
Kind of like the Nothing from Neverending Story.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah. Oh,
even though
man.
I've seen it when I was a kid, it was too long ago.
All right.
It's just that those things, they're so easily turned into cop dogs because they're not anything like a little sweet dog. They're nothing like a pit bull that will be your best friend. They're nothing like a chihuahua that has its own absolute, like, I want to do this and this is what I'm going to do. They are order-taking dogs, and I don't like them for that.
Yeah, they were designed to live in a field alone with the sheep 24/7. So, like, you need something that's smart enough to not kill itself or the sheep, and you need something mean enough to keep predators away and loyal enough to do everything you wanted to do while you're gone.
Which is exactly why I'm like half joking when I say they're evil. I don't think that a dog can be evil. They're just basically, it's like, I don't understand why people have them in their houses. Like, hey, I have this robot dog.
Why does somebody have a gun in their house?
I guess that is why some people claim that they have a dog in their house. It's like for protection.
But I mean, a gun does damage to people if you point it in a direction to where you're gonna hurt people with it. Like, but it doesn't innately, as it exists, it isn't a bad thing, right? You have to take outside action.
I'm judging people who think like, I will never love anything as much as I love this German Shepherd. And it's like, that thing has no love for you back, I promise you. It's literally just instinct and nothing else. That's what I see in that dog.
Do you think that coconut loves you?
Well, I think if it was pure instinct, then it couldn't be managed and it would make a bad police dog.
It's pure instinct, but it's been trained to, who the boss is. And every German Shepherd I've ever met, it has like a very loyal component to its family and like no one else.
Oh yeah, it's a shepherd.
And that's exactly where I'm coming from. It's like, okay, I figured out who I'm supposed to protect, and I don't have any like, there's nothing innately sweet or cute about it. I mean, this is just, obviously my opinion. And if you want to call in and say that I'm wrong, that's fine. 603-283-6160. But I'm curious about the fact that we can sense different levels of, what is the word I'm looking for? It's not your conscience, but different levels of how tapped in with reality you are, and consciousness is what I'm trying to say. So there's different levels of consciousness, and in my opinion, the reason that German Shepherds are the dogs that they can use for that is because they're like one of the least highly conscious beings as far as dogs go. And I wish so badly that we could just break off small dog breeds and big dog breeds and not call them all the same thing. Because in my opinion, they're just not the same thing at all. Do you agree with that?
Well, I mean, yeah, but look at like a St. Bernard. His job is way different than a shepherd's ever would be.
And they have sweetness in their eyes. More Free Talk Live coming up.
If you're looking for work, or even if you're not, here's an innocent mistake you really want to avoid. Never return calls before listening to your voicemail. Your wireless phone sends calls you didn't answer into voicemail, and it shows you phone numbers for calls you missed. Important. Don't call back callers you missed until you have first listened to your messages. Otherwise, you frustrate people who bothered to leave messages by asking them to repeat a message they just left as your voicemail greeting instructed them to. If you're a job applicant, this alone could be a deal killer. And even if you're not, there are few things you can convey to someone that are as fundamentally maddening as, "I didn't hear you." With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. For more tips for job seekers and everyone else, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann with the Week in Review. President Trump, speaking at the White House this week, told reporters that the Iranian regime has stopped killing protesters and has no plans to carry out executions. The president spoke amid growing speculation that he is planning to launch a military strike on Iran.
We've been told that the killing in Iran is stopping. It's stopped. It's stopping. And there's no plan for executions or executions. So I've been told that a good authority. We'll find out about it.
Top officials from Denmark and Greenland say they have found fundamental disagreement during talks with Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio this week over the future of the Danish-administered territory. From Washington, Simon Marks reports.
Denmark's Foreign Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen said the White House talks were frank but ended in an agreement to disagree. Flanked by Greenland's Foreign Minister, he accused President Trump of embracing untrue narratives about Russian and Chinese operations in the waters off the territory and reiterated Greenland is not for sale.
Our perspectives continue to differ, I must say. The President has made his view clear, and we have a different position.
The three parties did agree to create a high-level working group to see whether any kind of compromise is possible, and the first meeting of that working group is due to take place within weeks.
The Trump administration says it will indefinitely halt visa processing for immigrants from 75 countries, including Brazil, Russia and Iran. Tony Waterman has more from D.C.
The countries on the list were chosen based on the Trump administration's belief that their nationals will require public assistance, like housing and food stamps, while living in the U.S. Anyone seeking permanent residency in the country is already required to prove they won't become a public charge. Officials say the suspension will only apply to immigrant applications, not to student or tourist visas.
China and Canada have announced a new strategic partnership aimed at easing tariffs and expanding cooperation. Ira Spitzer reports.
The two countries agreed to lower tariffs on Chinese-made electric vehicles and Canadian agricultural exports, signaling a reset in their strained relationship. After meeting Chinese leader Xi Jinping in Beijing, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney said that Canada must be pragmatic as the global trading system becomes less predictable. The deal would allow a limited number of Chinese electric vehicles into Canada at sharply reduced tariffs, while China is expected to cut duties on Canadian canola and other farm products. The move comes as Canada faces pressure from U.S. tariffs amid formal talks with the U.S. over the future of a North American trade pact.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann, and that was the Week in Review.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
Talk radio that you control, and 603-283-6160 is the phone number. That's 603-283-6160. And if you're tired of the oppressive rules and moderation of the big tech social media sites, our Mastodon server at social.freetalklive.com can set you free. Mastodon is free, open source, decentralized, and federated. Multiple apps are available for iOS, Android, Windows, Mac, and Linux. Social.freetalklive.com. And with you on Free Talk Live, you've got me, Bonnie,
Riley O'Bill,
and Angelo.
And there's always a whole bunch of things to talk about nowadays with Trump because he had that little break. Like, in my opinion, it's like, this is how I think about it. It's like right when he got, I almost said arrested.
Well, was it a break or did Charlie Kirk just get shot and everything kind of shifted gears for a little bit?
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe that kind of or stop things for a little while, but it's like, yeah, Trump had this like little segment of time where he stopped being like over top, you know?
Yeah. Well, I learned over the Christmas break on Christmas Day, the Fed injected another $17 billion into the economy, printed out of nowhere.
Gee.
Just to let you guys know, another cover of night. Like, dude, it's over. The U.S. dollar is in a lot of trouble.
Our money without the American people
well, I mean, this is like an injection of the same level that they did in COVID. This is a huge injection of cash that doesn't exist.
Interesting. That's really concerning. That should really concern the American people, because here we are facing another inflation crisis, and people are just going to be like, "Oh, it's okay."
No, they're hoping this is going to kick the can farther down the road.
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't heard that at all, and I tried to find something that I had brought up for a show the other week, but we never got into. Trump is threatening the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, again. So
yeah, well, I mean, so like,
surprised.
yeah, Feds. Why is Trump at war with the Fed if he's a puppet of the Fed? You know, like he's doing. That's like one of those things where you're like, wait, what's actually going on here?
yeah, but it's also like I can't tell if that's real or if he's just like right here, the New York Times calls Powell a foil. It's like, I fight at you, Powell. I fight back at you, Trump, and we are totally not friends. Yeah, we're totally not friends. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like how
I'm not your buddy, guy.
I was shocked when I saw that Trump makes jokes like he's buddy with oh man, I don't remember his name. One of the congressmen that is super anti-Trump, you would think, and Mitch McConnell. Yeah. And he just makes jokes with him at that one dinner that they have, like, before every election.
Oh, yeah.
And pretends that everything's normal. You can't joke with someone on such a personal level and have them just laugh if you genuinely all hate each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, because they don't. It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
It's WWE.
Yeah, or like not even the WWE. I think of it as in a term of almost like a pro football game, right? And you have these two quarterbacks. Ben Roethlisberger and Tom Brady, right? Like two names people should vaguely recognize as like football players. And,
actually, honestly, I don't know the one guy. I know Brady, but
okay. Do you know any others?
Not as a specific,
like off the top, like a quarterback. I don't know.
Quarterback, no. If you, maybe if you listed another one, but
Patrick Mahomes. You ever heard of him?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady play a football game, right? Mm-hmm. And there's hundreds of thousands of people watching this football game wearing the jerseys of these two men, these two opposing sides, quote unquote, right? These two teams. Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes are going to drink together after the game, and they're not going to think about anybody in the stands for a second. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, they're friends outside of this. Like, yeah, they just played a game, and these two sides, opposing fan bases, hate each other, and they'll get into fights in the stands, and they'll hurt each other. But at the end of it, these two quarterbacks have already been paid their millions of dollars to put on this show for you, and now they're going to go hang out together.
And nothing makes that more obvious to me than when I was a kid. I always assumed, like, if you were part of one team, you're just like part of that team for no, like, you can just get sold to another team.
Yeah.
That's when I learned that, like, older, like, I feel like I was like, at least in high school, I was like, what? You can just be like, well, no, he's not on the Cardinals anymore. He's on the blah, blah, blah. Like, that seems sacrilege. Well, it's even weirder that Trump used to be a Democrat. Now here he is, like, the face of the Republicans. You see what I'm saying?
Because they've been paid their money. It doesn't matter anymore. They're going to send their kids to the same schools. They're going to go to the same parties. They attend the same bars. And they probably, maybe, buy their kids from the same guy. Right? You know? So, they're friends. And maybe calling them elites is wrong, but there does seem to be a class of people that are operating above what everybody else is, and a lot of those people don't seem to even be elected anymore. Mm-hmm. Right? Like,
Jerome Powell isn't elected by us or anything. It's neither federal or reserve.
Well, yeah, but neither was Elon Musk or Larry Ellison or Peter Thiel or insert this billionaire magnate that's...
But for some reason, people cheered them on when they started doing things they liked.
Well, that's because it's just... I think they're just turning the water up. It feels like every president does this, though.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's... Everything feels under a microscope since, like, 2020, but I feel like every president has done this thing where they'll do something to make their side go, yay, and then they'll do something totally backhanded to the American people as a whole.
And even their side. And
everybody just kind of, swept under the rug. And I feel like it's almost like frogs boiling in a pot, right? They keep turning the temperature up a little by a little, and they feed us flakes of what we crave, so we keep voting for them thinking things will change. But they just keep turning the temperature up on us until before we know it, it's digital IDs, and no, you're not allowed to own a gas vehicle, and no, you can't leave your 15-minute city, and no, don't you dare leave your pod, no, don't even take your goggles off, no, don't quit doing drugs, no, don't you dare exercise, no, just eat the slop, stay in your pod, be quiet, go to work.
Yeah, I wanted to know, like,
you'll eat the bugs.
What specific things did Obama do to piss off the Democrats? brought up a good question to me since you said it's felt like that a lot since 2020, and we're like, we're probably we're able to vote in the same election, right? Were you able to vote in 26? No, you were 16.
Yeah.
I just was 20, so that was the first one I was able to vote in was 2016. And I'd say even since 2016, it feels like that to me, that things like changed, but it could just be my age.
Did you vote for Trump during that election?
Yes,
Bonnie?
I voted for Trump in Utah, which was pointless. Now, I mean, like, not now that I think of it, like I've thought of it before. It was pointless because Trump was never going to lose in Utah, and I should have voted for Gary Johnson.
Yeah, Utah always goes Republican.
I was already a libertarian, and I was fully going to vote for Johnson. Not that he's the one I like. I wanted McAfee to be the candidate, but anyways. And then right at the end, literally like weeks before the election, I just was completely convinced that Hillary was going to win. Trump needs all the votes he can get, and if Hillary wins, Muslims take over the country. And today I'm not like, I hate Muslims. I don't want a Muslim country at all. I'd actually prefer less Muslims in the country, to be honest with you. Like, I don't like or care for the stuff they believe in, and that kind of thing matters. You can't just be like, no, everyone's exactly the same, and the things that somebody professes to genuinely believe in just doesn't matter. I'm not a leftist like that, but at the same time, I'm not like, oh, I believe that Hillary Clinton, if she won, then we'd like live in Sharia law all over America. For some reason, I got tricked into that.
No, I think we would have went to war with Iran off the bat if Hillary Clinton would have won.
Do you think Hillary Clinton would have taken us to war that quickly?
Yeah, I think especially. Yeah, I think it would have been just an escalation of the Obama years, which was, we were already in Syria. They wanted to go mobile in Syria, but it was bad optics. I think if Hillary would have won, we would have went like full tilt back into the Middle East. We wouldn't have pulled out of Afghanistan. We probably would have doubled down over there. With just more promises of we'll get out soon.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. I don't know. Like, I do feel like there is genuinely a huge difference in left versus right at the state level. Like, the state reps that are in the New Hampshire State House of Representatives, there is a big, huge, giant difference in how they act. I just don't know if I believe that there would be any actual difference in, like, Hillary versus Trump. It's not that I'm saying I disagree with you. I just, seriously, I could believe that if we could look, obviously we can't do this, but if we could look at a reality where Hillary Clinton won, maybe she would have just done everything that Trump did with a few little, like, things to look like a feminist here and there for the Dems. Like, I don't know that anything really would have been that different. It's just like, what did Obama do that's much different in more like, wow, that's crazy that he did that. And if you think about, like, what he's supposed to represent is, like, the far, far left. Like, you would think he would have changed America.
Well, but did Obama represent the far, far left? Like, in 2008, he was against gay marriage.
I think we would think the same exact thing about him as we think currently about Hillary Clinton. But what I'm saying is if she actually got in power, would she have been like Obama where, yeah, he was, like, totally a leftist, but there was lots of things the Democrats were pissed off at him about, and, I know that there are other things. Like, the one thing that's coming to mind is they were pissed off that he was like, I'm going to close Guantanamo Bay.
And they never did, yeah.
But some other things that came up that I had never heard of said he initially pledged to let Bush-era tax cuts for the wealthy expire, but later agreed to extend them. And that pissed off the Democrats.
For how long? Like, indefinitely, or?
I don't know, honestly. It says he signaled openness to deals with Republicans on spending, even as progressive Democrats wanted a tougher stance against GOP austerity. They wanted them to spend more and make more taxes. They were mad about his centrist appointments and approaches. Apparently, some people he brought to the cabinet, he was really they were disappointed in. The Democrats were disappointed in because they were more like centrist, and that's exactly how everyone felt when Trump first got in. They were like, Milo Yiannopoulos is going to be Speaker of the House, or not Speaker of the House, press secretary, and no, he wasn't.
No, who even? Like, I can't even remember who it was.
Yeah, I can't remember right now either. Yeah, but either way, it was just like every single person in his cabinet was disappointing. I honestly think.
Well, John Bolton,
I don't remember who that is.
He's one of the biggest war hawks. He's got that huge mustache.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He was in the first. As soon as he was one of the biggest war hawks this country's ever seen.
Yep. Everybody that Trump put into his cabinet right away made everybody like, oh, nothing's going to change, is it? And it didn't. So maybe the Democrats would have felt, the feminist Democrats, maybe they would have felt the same way if Hillary won. They'd be like, what? She just put somebody that's not really on our team in the, maybe it would have been the same people. Maybe it would have been John Bolton. There's a caller on the line, so let's go to the phone. 603-283-6160 is the phone number if you'd like to get in on the conversation with us. Sarah in New Mexico, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Oh, yes, I was at the senior center, and I was talking about speeding cameras, and that lady says, where they need to put speeding cameras is on the freeway. And I told her, yeah, that's where they need it the most because they're going 100 miles per hour. And if there's a wreck, like there's 10-car pileup, somebody's dead, somebody's neck and back is broken. And I told her that it's actually banned from putting automated speeding cameras on our freeways.
Is that because it's interstate?
Well, what is that? Arizona State used to have speeding cameras on their freeways, and then all the speeders, violators ganged up on them, and then made them take them off.
Oh, okay.
And then, so technically their reason was that it belongs to the federal government.
Mm-hmm.
So your state, you do not have a jurisdiction to govern what happens in it. So that was their clause, and they made them take them off because they said that if you want speeding cameras, it has to be passed by the National Congress, the House and the Senate at the Washington. That was the argument.
Yeah, I that's what I assumed it was, and that's why they wouldn't be able to do it. But I just don't know that cameras would really change anything as far as like people's attitudes. Like, what if you get in a car accident and you're not where one of those cameras happen to be? It'd be so expensive probably to have every single like mile of every stretch of the entire highway covered with cameras rolling all day.
Well, I mean, the freeway, though, isn't that the speed limit like 75? What's the speed limit? Usually like 65, and everybody does 10 miles over.
Mm-hmm.
So they're doing 75.
The speed limit in Montana is 80. I mean, in Texas it's 80. So 75 is like that's just a number at that point because you're dead after 70. That's the killing speed. They've done tests on this. So like anything after 70, you're really just throwing numbers at each other.
Oh, so if you say 80 miles per hour, what are they doing? 10, 15 miles over the speed limit.
There's a 1604 in Texas. Is this really straight, beautiful highway that goes around the bigger loop in San Antonio. In the north part of it, it's, I think 80 miles per hour is the speed limit, but everyone is going 100. If you're not going 100 and you're even in the right lane, also I'm like mixing it up. Like, people are going to be annoyed in passing you. And I'm 100% serious. Maybe 90. I'll give you 90. But you can easily go 100, and so many people are doing it, there's, like, no fear you're going to get pulled over. And
in the state of Montana, they just didn't have speed limits during the daytime for, until, the 90s or something.
During the daytime? Oh,
yeah. And then it got cut down to 80 at night because it's nighttime, slow down a little bit. But during the day, in the entire state, you could go flying by a state or doing mock Jesus, and he would just wave at you.
That's funny. Sarah, I want to...
So we do...
Oh, go ahead.
So we do have Autobahns in America. It's not only in... they say Germany only have the Autobahn, and they talk about people doing the Autobahn, but we got Autobahns right here in America.
Well, maybe unlisted, I guess, but...
Well, it's listed in Montana now, it's 80, but even then, you're not getting pulled over unless you're doing
I meant an unlisted Autobahn is what I meant. Like unofficially, that's basically happening on 1604 in North San Antonio. See what I'm saying? But
it probably happens in every giant interstate in the country.
Well, that's what happens when you have a lot of space to work with. Is no one's going to slow you down.
But that's the thing. All I'm saying is, Sarah, it's nowhere. There isn't a place in America that I know of that is still no speed limit. I don't know of one. But what he was saying about Montana, apparently they put a speed limit up now. But really, Sarah, I wanted to ask you while we've got you on the line. Did Obama do anything that disappointed you as a Democrat? Did he do anything that you thought was betraying the Democrats? Maybe something you thought was too right wing?
Well, I never noticed it. The whole thing is that as long as it was better than Trump, You know, a lot of people are saying I rather vote if I knew what he was going to do now. Like he wants to he wants to fight the whole entire world. He wants to get into it with the United Nations. He wants to fight with all South America. Is he crazy or what?
Yeah, he is.
I mean, yeah, he wants to fight with Mexico, Colombia, Venezuela. I mean, and Cuba, and then now he's after Greenland. I mean, what country has he left out? And anybody that wants to help Greenland, they have forces. Now he wants to embargo and sanction them like a communist country. I mean, is he crazy? I mean, think about it. And a lot of people, if I knew he was going to do this, I would have voted for Kamala just to keep him out.
Oh, you didn't vote for Kamala?
Well, I did vote for Kamala, but just to the stance on the Communist Party, the Socialist Party, is to keep the ultra right, like Trump, out of office. We're not saying that our Democratic Party president is perfect. We're not going to have perfection. He's not going to do everything that we want him to do, like the third party Green Party people want to. But it's better than having Trump and the ultra right get in and then just raise havoc. See, well, we have to worry about New Mexico. We're going to be on the axe list. He's going to chop all the funding. And they're talking about because our state voted against Trump. Now he's going to get even with us, and we're going to get our funding cut for buses and a whole bunch of other things that he's going to cut millions of dollars off from us. So, he never said anything about senior services at least, but he named a couple of stuff. Probably, so those are the consequences. And all the people that tell me I don't vote. What are they? I don't vote. I don't care because they're all the same. Riley, don't you say that? You say that constantly. What do you think about this outcome here? You say the one politician is the same. What's your name?
My name is Riley, but you're saying that I'm saying all politicians are the same? Yeah, I'd agree with that. They seem like they're all the same.
They seem like, okay, but think about what's going on with Trump right now. Do you think...
I understand that, but they seem like they're all the same. They all want to grow the government.
Yeah, it all ends with the degradation of your rights and your liberties. Regardless of what side is getting degraded, it all ends with you getting stripped of your autonomy.
Yeah, but don't you think things are worse for the Trump? If you're an American, if you're living abroad, you're going to be targeted, kidnapped.
This is just golden. This is just golden turd and crap sandwich. I don't want either of them. Right? I'd rather have no politician expanding the government.
It's all just a story, though. Like, here we are being told that these people are our leaders, but they're supposed to be our public servants, and we all elect them and want them to build the government in our way, and it's crazy.
I mean, for you, there's a lot of people that say they're all exactly the same. As far as I'm concerned, there is a difference. There's a major big difference. So if you had a Democratic president, you could live abroad and don't feel about getting out of that country. Like if you're American in Venezuela right now, they're told to get the hell out. You better get out before they get a bullet in you, because they will fight back. They're just not going to have the Americans just take over the country.
I don't know if that's necessarily a good point, Sarah, just because if you were an American living in Iraq in I forgot the number. Wait.
2001.
No, my bad. I mixed that up. Yeah, which one did Obama go to war with? He didn't start any, did he?
No, well, Syria, I guess. He did a bunch of bombings in Syria.
Yeah, I mixed that up really bad. I know that we went to war in Iraq because of Bush, my bad. But he didn't pull us out. He didn't get us out.
No.
Either way, Democrats definitely start wars too, and if you happen to live there as an American, they're probably going to tell you to get out. And I don't know. I don't think that that's really a good point, because Democrats, they've gotten much more pro-war in the last few years. If a Democrat had won, do you really think that...
We'd be boots on the ground in Ukraine right now.
Yeah, that's a good point. We'd be in Ukraine, definitely. And I'm not saying that makes Trump good, so don't hear me and make me think... Don't hear me saying this, Sarah, and think that I'm saying, oh, Trump is good and keeping us out of wars. No, I think he's doing crazy, insane things, and I didn't want him to go bomb Venezuela over oil and stuff like that. But I don't think that makes him really much different than a Democrat, because they would just go to war over another thing that they want instead of oil in Venezuela, maybe.
Well, I have a different, it depends on your perspective, but I'd rather have somebody that's going to do a lot better than completely just worse, like Trump.
Well, but is there, I don't know if there is better at this point. Like the money system is failing. Mm-hmm. And either we're going to have to pay these debts. We're in so much debt. We either pay the debt or we burn everybody we owe money to.
And that's actually a really good point. The most prevalent thing that I kind of have like almost like an anxiety about from day to day is less about like a war. And I hate to say it because it's like, obviously that affects some people's lives greatly, but it's not currently affecting my life that much. The thing that is like, you see it everywhere on every YouTube commentary video is life is getting too expensive for Americans. And the thing is, where do you go from here? There's not another more free, amazing country. And I'm not saying that like America's great because of that. I'm just simply saying there's nowhere to escape to.
I agree.
And it's creepy.
It seems like there are powers that be that want us to live in a world where we can't escape.
Where every country is basically a third world country.
Yes, exactly.
And sometimes I do feel like that is what they're pushing us towards. And sometimes I wonder to myself if I'm like just freaking out about nothing, and then I hear another thing like what you said about on Christmas Day or whatever
This is because, right, let's bring this back to what the Dutch did.
And thank you for the call, Sarah.
Right, with their elite and their money, right, their big money, left the country and invested in other countries, right? So then after the Dutch fell, England became the world superpower. They're investing in the cloud. They're not investing in a different country. They've put all their money into the internet. And they've pulled out of every country. That's why it seems everywhere is going third world, because there's no money in any country.
And they'll just rebuild it wherever they want once a bunch of people die.
Yep.
Probably in a solar flare or something. More Free Talk Live coming up. Don't go anywhere. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live is coming up. Don't go anywhere. It's Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live, the show where anyone can call about whatever they want. And we do mean anyone.
It's happening every day. They sip some kind of chemicals through the floor.
Oh, so it's like gas.
I mean, it sounds crazy, but it's the truth.
I was under the impression they were coming into your house and holding you down.
Well, they can come in. Oh, yeah, I got remote controls right now. I can't find them. I listen to this preacher man. Every time I listen to him, some kind of way they turns the station off.
Maybe it's just going off.
I mean, you'd be surprised.
They've got the remote, Mark.
How much power they have, and that's what they got. They got a lot of power.
I think you should go get some help.
I think you should talk to somebody who cares about you and ask them about psychological help. Somewhere, someone has had gas pumped into their room, but I just don't think it's happening with Mary because she's outspoken.
What does she speak out against? I should have asked her that.
I don't know.
Damn it.
You're done.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern at freetalklive.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann with the Week in Review. President Trump, speaking at the White House this week, told reporters that the Iranian regime has stopped killing protesters and has no plans to carry out executions. The president spoke amid growing speculation that he is planning to launch a military strike on Iran. But he told reporters he has information that the situation inside the country is improving.
We've been told that the killing in Iran is stopping. It's stopping. And there's no plan for executions or executions. So I've been told that on good authority. We'll find out about it. I'm sure if it happens, we'll all be very upset.
Top officials from Denmark and Greenland say they have found fundamental disagreement during talks with Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio this week over the future of the Danish-administered territory. From Washington, Simon Marks reports.
Denmark's Foreign Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen said the White House talks were frank but ended in an agreement to disagree. Flanked by Greenland's Foreign Minister, he accused President Trump of embracing untrue narratives about Russian and Chinese operations in the waters off the territory and reiterated Greenland is not for sale.
Our perspectives continue to differ, I must say. The President has made his view clear, and we have a different position.
The three parties did agree to create a high-level working group to see whether any kind of compromise is possible. Greenland's Foreign Minister Vivian Motzfeldt.
I think it's very important to say it again that how important it is from our side to strengthen our cooperation with the United States. But that doesn't mean that we want to be owned by the United States.
And the first meeting of that working group is due to take place within weeks.
The Trump administration says it will indefinitely halt visa processing for immigrants from 75 countries, including Brazil, Russia and Iran. The State Department says this latest restriction, which kicks in the coming days, is aimed at people trying to, quote, extract wealth from the American people. Tony Waterman has more from D.C.
The countries on the list were chosen based on the Trump administration's belief that their nationals will require public assistance, like housing and food stamps, while living in the U.S. Anyone seeking permanent residency in the country is already required to prove they won't become a public charge. Officials say the suspension will only apply to immigrant applications, not to student or tourist visas. A large number of people are expected to travel to the U.S. for the World Cup later this year and the Summer Olympics in 2028.
China and Canada have announced a new strategic partnership aimed at easing tariffs and expanding cooperation. The agreement comes as Canada faces growing trade uncertainty with the United States. Ira Spitzer reports.
The two countries agreed to lower tariffs on Chinese-made electric vehicles and Canadian agricultural exports, signaling a reset in their strained relationship. After meeting Chinese leader Xi Jinping in Beijing, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney said that Canada must be pragmatic as the global trading system becomes less predictable. The deal would allow a limited number of Chinese electric vehicles into Canada at sharply reduced tariffs, while China is expected to cut duties on Canadian canola and other farm products. The move comes as Canada faces pressure from U.S. tariffs amid formal talks with the U.S. over the future of a North American trade pact. The agreement has raised concerns in Washington that closer ties with China could complicate relations with the U.S., Canada's largest trading partner. Ira Spitzer, San Francisco.
Almost 40% of young workers in the UK took time off from their jobs last year because of burnout. That's according to new research by the charity Mental Health UK, which is calling for managers to have more open conversations about well-being. It says young adults in the UK are facing pressures both inside and outside of work. Clinical psychologist Dr. Nihara Kraus says employers could be doing more to help younger staff.
The stress is often connected with the productivity that young people think they require in order to hold on to their job, together with all of the sort of extraneous factors in terms of not feeling the reward is sufficient, worrying about job security, immense competition. And so all of that leads to higher and higher effort, anxiety-driven productivity, and then ultimately feeling like they're burning out.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann, and that was the Week in Review.
This is the Onion Week in Review. According to a Stanford University study released Wednesday, there is no logical reason why planes are able to fly. Reiterating that they fully understand the concepts of lift, thrust, and propulsion, lead physicists told reporters they were still unable to reasonably explain how a large 500,000-pound object is capable of staying up in the air without falling.
We've come up with several theories, including wind propulsion, some sort of gravity suspension effect, also the possibility that the clouds pull the plane skyward, but beyond that, just don't understand how a large metal tube could just kind of float in the air like that. And it's going at like 500 miles per hour, which means that when I'm on a plane, I'm also going 500 miles per hour? I mean, that's crazy. I mean, why is my hair blowing back and forth?
The Stanford team added they plan to devote the next 2 years to a new study on why telephones can hear. In other news, an urban planner is stuck in traffic of his own design, and a kid screams behind a passenger during an entire plane crash. Visit theonion.com/newsbeat for more.
You can help spread the ideas of liberty with our Patreon for just $5 per month at amps.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. That's the phone number you can call to bring up whatever's on your mind. 603-283-6160. And with you on Free Talk Live, you've got me, Bonnie,
Riley O'Bill,
and Angelo.
And in the last segment, we were talking about, is there really a difference between the right and the left? And I'm really interested to hear other people's takes on that. But call in about whatever is on your mind. It doesn't just have to be that. We do have a caller on the line, and I'm going to go to the phones. Tim in Florida, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
I would love to talk about German Shepherds, Greenland, or actually the two-party paradigm, but something more important. Free Talk Live has been a big part of my life for like basically over 20 years, so please take that into consideration before listening to what I have to say. But basically, I'm calling in to apologize. I've abused the messaging system, both email and through the AMP program. I have abused the messaging system and basically message bombed you, been confrontational, bullied you, and called you the C word. And I've been a drunk asshole for about 20, excuse my language, I guess I'm going to get dropped for about 25 years of my life.
That. You don't have to get dropped. I dumped it for the stations.
And, I'm sure I can go back to being an alcoholic very easily. I'm about 3 weeks sober. Even when I was drinking every day, I wanted to apologize to you. That's all.
Hey, bro. Thanks for calling.
Thank you so much for apologizing.
Did you have anything else you want to talk about, Tim? And you don't have to really only talk about that if you don't want to, because you said you had other things you want to talk about.
Well, I would bring up Greenland, I guess, if I had to pick out of the three. So there is one element of that equation that the two sides that are arguing about Greenland, whether basically it should be a territory of the U.S. or a territory of Denmark, 90+% of the people there speak Greenlandic, which is a form of Inuit language. So I'm not calling them Eskimos because I really am very ignorant of the culture of the people, but Greenland was first conquered by Eric the Red. So it was a part of Norway before it was a part of Denmark. And then I guess Norway got integrated into Denmark at some point. But yeah, there were always native people there. And unlike other places, they didn't all get wiped out. So it's just something people aren't taking into consideration. They're like, oh, it belongs to Denmark. And I think the average person thinks that the people living there are all Danish.
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't really thought much about that. Like, do these people get to have a vote on if they want to govern themselves? And I Googled it. I said, I just wrote Greenlandic language, and it said Greenlandic, or Kalaallisut, is the official indigenous Inuit language of Greenland, known for its polysynthetic structure where long words form complex sentences. That's pretty interesting. And it's belonging to the Eskimo Aleut family. So, Interesting. I guess they're Inuits. I would have never even guessed that. I thought Inuits were like only in Canada, honestly.
Me too.
The Inuits were well, you got to think that's the same. That's like in line with Canada and Alaska.
Yeah.
You know, it's all the way up north. And it would make sense that if they could take the ice bridge from Russia, they could probably take the ice bridge from Canada to Greenland. If that is the way that they came from. I don't know if you subscribe to mainline history, that's where humans came from, over the ice bridge.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I just never really thought about that, honestly. So it's a good point, Tim. Like, what has anybody asked these people who they want to rule them, or if they want to rule themselves?
Yeah, and I've some people that I've talked to have said, "Oh, well, I'd be pretty happy under the Danish." So I don't know. I'm sure everyone has a different opinion. I'm sure the government doesn't even affect, the average person's life there. I know we like to focus on how much it does affect people's lives, but so I don't know. I would find it interesting if there was ever an opportunity to do any sort of, if it was open for colonists, which is why I originally started looking into it and found that out.
Well, I think they would want it open to AI colonists for sure. A big push, I think, for Greenland is that since it's naturally so cold, you can use that to your advantage when you're cooling all of these servers, right? They want it for like server space for this cloud. Does that make any sense?
I guess so, but where do they get the energy? Maybe a river?
Nuclear, maybe? Who knows if they can figure that out. I don't think they'd be opposed to even building it. But I see that as like a huge angle too.
They also want to make a smart city there, and I think Peter Thiel, the guy involved with like Palantir and PayPal and all that, he's pushing for a smart city there and one other place. But it's funny how NATO put troops there, and this makes everything really interesting because now I guess Putin went to. After NATO put troops there, Putin went to Trump and was like, "Hey, I'll help you take it."
Interesting. With just
that would be a crazy play.
It says Greenland has, on average, very high elevation. Maybe they're expecting a solar flare or something like that. It doesn't have to be a solar flare. Something like that's gonna be a big, huge problem, and that's why a bunch of countries have their eyes on Greenland, and they want their free city to be there for when. It's, first of all, actually, this is perfect. It's very secluded. Only 57,000 people live on the whole giant island. And if it's high altitude and they're able to map out what's about to happen and they know something we don't know, like, I don't know, let's just say for the sake of argument, a comet's coming towards us and we don't know about it, but NASA does. And they can find out that when it hits, it's going to change the climate for the entire world. But if you're higher elevation, you won't get submerged underwater.
Yeah, but then they wouldn't invest in beachfront property.
Well, they'd have fun money too. That's the thing.
You think, just to keep up appearances, like we'll just keep the money, a small amount flowing to keep this market. I'm almost like what the Fed does now, trying to kick the can down the road, make appearances seem as normal. Well, maybe
the money that they spend on their beachside property is like nothing to them. Is basically what I'm saying. It's just like their fun money. And
that can make sense. Yeah.
While they're president or I mean like. Senator or whatever, they'll live on their beachfront property now, but behind the scenes they're all working together to meet in Greenland where they only have to kill 57,000 people. Yeah, and actually it's crazy. It says 50,000 of the 57,000 are actually indigenous Inuit Greenlandic people. I never knew that.
Do they look like Eskimos?
I don't know, but I never...
Or Inuits, or I don't...
No, when it said that it's Eskimo... adjacent, they was talking about the language is Eskimo.
Well, but like, what is their physiognomy? Like, what do they look like?
Whoa, they look kind of like a whiter Eskimo. They look like an Eskimo. Some of them are blonde. Oh, some of them look straight up just like Eskimos.
Probably because of all the breeding that occurred with the
Vikings. Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Not to say they were all blonde haired.
Right.
Yeah.
Most of them, it looks like, are dark hair. They look like kind of like Eskimos, but a bit skinnier, and some of them have blonde hair. Interesting. And I'm sure it's been interbreeding with the Vikings and stuff. Yeah, all very interesting things, and it's just like, it's weird. It's suspicious that so many high up, powerful people have their eyes on Greenland. I did not know that about Palantir Peter Thiel wanting to have a city there.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was kind of talking about before we went to break, right? Like they've taken all of their money out of the countries. Like there's no country to go get the money from, right? It's not in China. It's not in Russia. They've invested it into this digital superstructure, this digital infrastructure. That's where the money is. And then now it's all technical, right? It's all in ones and zeros. So you can't even go invade another country to get the wealth out of it. Does that make sense? Like they've extracted the wealth from physical reality. And now they're gonna abscond with it.
And it's not like you have to have something that says this is wealth and we have it now, like a currency. But as long as you have land, which they have a bunch of, and you know things that other human beings don't know, like if I was right about they're going to Greenland for the high altitude or something like that, you guys are the ones that survive. You guys are the ones that can make it work. And
well, the thing that they know that we don't know is that the U.S. dollar's kaputz.
Well, yeah.
Like that's the big
a lot
secret.
Of people know this because they're watching the United States play the fool on the world stage and inflate their currency.
And then
They've
a lot of
been through
people
this before.
know it but can't do anything about it, like us, basically.
Yeah.
And I do think just only maybe 5 years ago, a lot fewer people knew about it. But for whatever reason, when Biden was president, the word inflation became public knowledge, and I was like, people are talking about inflation now. Like no one ever talked about inflation.
And Ron
before
Paul's
that.
standing back in 2012, 2008, screaming at the heavens about, inflation.
And in Biden's era, they had to come up with the idea. It's just transitory.
Well, and they changed the metric on how they measured it during the Biden administration. They completely changed how they measured the inflation rate. But I don't remember the specifics on the metrics, but they changed the metrics so the number didn't look as bad as it was. So that means the number now is probably horrific. And I wouldn't even really want to know what the real number is in buying power, because it feels like my groceries have doubled in the past 5 years. And that shouldn't be, that's not normal. I wouldn't think, that's an insane 100% increase over 5 years is crazy. And if that's indicative of the number of the rate of inflation we're at now, Lord knows what it's going to be in another 10 years.
We may not be able to afford groceries. I mean,
well, not in the U.S. dollar, you won't, because it'll be worthless. That's why you have to, and that's what these tech people, or anybody with a lot of the money, has figured out that it's pointless to keep investing in America, and they don't want to invest in somebody America can go to war with, so they put all their money into the cloud, into this AI, this panopticon of surveillance Palantir state that we're building, and they're going to try to take that global. That's honestly how I feel. It's going to be like a global panopticon of surveillance for us, and they get to run around with their money that doesn't exist.
And I don't want people to think that I'm all in on the solar flare thing. I could totally see the solar flare thing just being something that they want some subset of people to think, because they want you to feel helpless, pointless, not just or I don't mean to say pointless, I mean to say like your life is pointless. You shouldn't be prepping for the future. You shouldn't be caring about anything, because we're all going to die anyway.
Yeah, it's that's postmodernism is just a death cult in itself.
It is. It's very much a death cult. They don't want you to think about the future.
Well, it is nihilism. If nothing, it's a weird path to nihilism, because if nothing means nothing, right? We're like in a post-truth society where if everything's subjective, then nothing really exists. And then if nothing really exists, then it literally does not matter. Right. And then if you just boil it down to these just dopamine hits, a dopamine drip into a brain, and that's what your entire existence is, then what are you really planning for the future for, dude? Just get the dopamine hit, bro. What inflation, war in the Middle East, dude? We have bread and circus at 7. Get your head in the game.
And besides, I don't even feel that. I don't hate those people for feeling that that's the better option, when the truth is, it's actually genuinely so much harder for them, the youngest generation, than anyone else, than it's ever been for them to actually prepare for the future and make their lives more important than just dopamine hits. It's like if you just hold on to the dollars and you've never heard of Bitcoin and you're just like an average American person, your money is just getting thrown down the drain anyway, so you might as well throw it down the drain having fun, or maybe even like throw it into a Dogecoin and hope that it
skyrockets and then you can save yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If people are actually
maybe that's not the way to do it.
People are actually getting way more addicted to gambling online with the sports gambling, and apparently that's having a big tick recently.
Well, yeah, it's all because you keep getting flashes of like a way out as a kid, right? You look at when you're little, you look at NFL players and like, I'm going to become a football player and I'm going to make a bunch of money. And I'm going to get out through sports, right?
Yeah, or pop star,
or like they dangle things of pop star, rock star,
and now it's
athlete,
like influencer too.
Influencer, what they dangle these like things in front of you for you to chase them, right? As a way out instead of trying to fix your current situation, right? Like does that make sense? Like they keep your mind focused on not your reality.
It's a carrot they want you to chase.
Yeah.
So that way you don't go after them.
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely think so. Because there's, obviously everybody says this, there's more of us than there are of them. And I also think that is why they would be focused so much on things like surveillance, is because they want ways to snuff out everything. That's why right now I'm reading about like COINTELPRO. Like I want to know how they're going to try to like snuff out the Free State Project and know when somebody's acting shady and stuff like that. Obviously, like we know all the really obvious things, like, hey, this new guy came in and starts talking about violence, we got to avoid him. But I honestly think that there's no way that's not going to be the method they use.
No, they're going to use things like, what is it, Pegasus? The thing that gets into your phone without you having to open anything. They can just read your phone, your texts. They'll just use an AI tool to scan all of these messages. They're doing it in Australia right now. They scan through everything you've ever sent and they just look for keywords. I mean, the NSA does it right now. And it's not necessarily that the government's reading everything in real time. It's that these keywords are going to set off alarms and then somebody's going to come look at it. Does that make sense? But it's all tracked and recorded. So if something becomes taboo in 10 years, then they can go back and look at your messages from 10 years ago and then arrest you for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And the same thing goes with flock cameras. You're driving down the road and you do one small thing wrong.
And then it's going to, one small thing wrong, and then you look at your smart glasses you're forced to wear so it can track your eye movements while you're driving, gives you a notification that your car insurance just went up because of that small deviation tracked by the flock camera. It's techno-feudalism, right? And you're not going to own anything. You're just going to rent. It'll be rentoid forever, because they've transferred the wealth they've digitized it and they've taken it away from the layman. So, and then bought up everything else in the process. It almost like it's going to be like company store level things, like from the 1800s. You're going to get paid in Amazon bucks and you're going to be able to shop at the Amazon store. You're going to rent a ride to the Amazon work on the Amazon bus and you're going to rent your pass, right? You're not going to own anything. They've already taken all the wealth and they're just going to trickle it down to you just enough to keep you alive and coming into Amazon. And there'll be no way for you to economically move up.
Yeah, I definitely think that that's still the plan, even though they got less brazen about it and stopped talking about it, with the whole, it was, really weird for a while there in the beginning of the Obama years. I meant to say Biden years, that they were just being all open about, we want, you to be addicted to meta and just sit in a pod and eat bugs and own nothing and be happy, even though you wouldn't be happy.
Well, because they framed it all. Well, because it's I don't know. They think we're kindergartners, so they talk to us like we're preschoolers.
I almost wonder if they thought that the COVID pandemic would scare us enough to stay inside our pods.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, they probably did, and that's why they bent down and they were like, "Look, little Riley, I know you don't understand this, but we're just gonna stay inside and eat the bugs, and here's why it's a good thing." This high horse.
That's exactly what they would do.
Smarmy, holier than thou attitude that they run around with. And I think It is smarmy, and I think they're too smart for their own good, and I think that's why they talk about it.
That's a good point.
And they openly talk about it because they're narcissists, right? They're egotistical, and they think they're better than you.
Dang it! You made a point that I was gonna. You said something that made me want to say something else about it, and I forgot. Sorry. So, eat the bugs.
Eats the bugs, stay in the pod.
I was gonna say, have you seen the girl? I think she's probably mostly on like TikTok, but I've seen her on like pop up on Twitter and stuff. That talks to a fake list, like talks to a person off camera. It's a sketch. Like she's a kindergarten teacher talking to you, and it's like she's a leftist, so she's always saying things like,
"Oh yeah, I've seen her.
We are gonna take a seat and sit on our hands and think about why we are being mean to the gay people." I don't know, like that's just...
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, it is that,
insane.
and that's their headspace.
Yeah,
that's
they
all
wanna
of them.
treat you like a little child for not understanding their philosophy.
And well, that also
They wanna
comes
degrade
from
you.
that. I think, dude, I could go on for hours how that comes from, like participation trophy kids.
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna be the president kids. Aren't you so sweet? Your ideas really are just the foundation of reality. We treated a bunch of since the 90s,
Also,
and now
just
those.
Rules in public school, it's like all about rules. And I remember my own brainwashing about rules. Like the teacher was punishing all of us. I've said this a million times. The teacher was punishing all of us for a few kids talking. I wasn't talking. I was like doing the quote unquote right thing that she wanted us to do. And I wanted to get done with the work so that way we could have our like talking, hanging out time, or at least like the amount where, oh, you finish your thing, you could talk, whatever it was. Because I'm like, I was social and like I loved being at school. I wanted to learn and I would pay attention when it's time. And then these other kids were like over it and they were talking. And so, quote, they're broken a rule, quote unquote. And then the teacher punished all of us. And I'm sitting there in silence, just so annoyed that I'm being punished for something I didn't do. And my eyes go to the board that the teacher had made, you know, those like fabric board things.
Yeah.
And it said all the rules. And I was thinking to myself, it's so simple. You just follow the rules.
Yeah,
Why
just read the
doesn't
sign,
anyone
dude.
Get that? And it's just like you become that adult that
Yeah.
grows up and says like, you don't understand. We have to pay taxes. Okay, that's how she talks. Like that skit girl. She's like, she's like.
That sounds like someone who's really annoying and
It is.
unable to articulate. They want to talk to you like a child because they see you as a child.
Yep, definitely.
That, or they can't coherently articulate their arguments in any other manner.
Yeah, so they have to make it seem like you're just so stupid. That's why I don't get it.
But if you actually put any weight or depth to what they're saying, it falls apart because you can either explain it like a toddler or you get into like intersectionality and queer theory and a whole bunch of stuff that the deeper you look into it, the more it is just like gobbledygook written by like sexual deviants,
I can win this argument if you just let me redefine all the terms.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
from a meme. A perfect meme.
Well, but that's exactly what they do. It's what do you consider blank to blank? Because in my made up reality, this is what this word
and I
means
learned it
now.
in college.
Yeah.
Which makes it real.
Yeah, I learned this critical theory, which is just Marxism in practice, and not practice, in praxis, right? Marxism in praxis. And you can just put whatever, it's the oppressor, oppressee, bourgeois, proletariat dialectic, and you can just paint that onto anything. You could even paint that onto you owning a dog as the oppressor. You're the bourgeois to your dog, the proletariat. And some people actually believe that and think we have to free the dog from their oppressors.
Oh my gosh.
That's like PETA level stuff, but that's what this Marxism in praxis leads to.
603-283-6160. Thanks for the call, Tim. More Free Talk Live coming up. You can bring up whatever's on your mind. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live coming up.
Hey, you are going to love the movie Victimless Crime Spree. It's hilarious, heartwarming, and carries a ton of inspiring freedom messages. Feeling down about the lack of liberty in your life? You need to put on this film with some friends and have a good laugh. It's a true story about me and my friends in New Hampshire living free, singing, dancing, and getting arrested. Of course, it's all on video, and the bad guys, the cops, judges, bailiffs, and sheriffs, they all play their part like it's out of a movie or something. You would think we scripted the whole thing, but it's real life. Go ahead and have a watch, and if it's been a while, have another look. I guarantee you'll notice things now that you didn't notice before. And the best part is that you're going to walk away feeling a renewed sense of your own power. You are the master of your destiny, and you will be free in your lifetime. Victimless crime spree.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann with the Week in Review. President Trump, speaking at the White House this week, told reporters that the Iranian regime has stopped killing protesters and has no plans to carry out executions. The president spoke amid growing speculation that he is planning to launch a military strike on Iran.
We've been told that the killing in Iran is stopping. It's stopped. It's stopping. And there's no plan for executions or an execution or executions. So I've been told that on good authority. We'll find out about it.
Top officials from Denmark and Greenland say they have found fundamental disagreement during talks with Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio this week over the future of the Danish-administered territory. From Washington, Simon Marks reports.
Denmark's Foreign Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen said the White House talks were frank but ended in an agreement to disagree. Flanked by Greenland's Foreign Minister, he accused President Trump of embracing untrue narratives about Russian and Chinese operations in the waters off the territory and reiterated Greenland is not for sale.
Our perspectives continue to differ, I must say. The President has made his view clear, and we have a different position.
The three parties did agree to create a high-level working group to see whether any kind of compromise is possible, and the first meeting of that working group is due to take place within weeks.
The Trump administration says it will indefinitely halt visa processing for immigrants from 75 countries, including Brazil, Russia and Iran. Tony Waterman has more from D.C.
The countries on the list were chosen based on the Trump administration's belief that their nationals will require public assistance, like housing and food stamps, while living in the U.S. Anyone seeking permanent residency in the country is already required to prove they won't become a public charge. Officials say the suspension will only apply to immigrant applications, not to student or tourist visas.
China and Canada have announced a new strategic partnership aimed at easing tariffs and expanding cooperation. Ira Spitzer reports.
The two countries agreed to lower tariffs on Chinese-made electric vehicles and Canadian agricultural exports, signaling a reset in their strained relationship. After meeting Chinese leader Xi Jinping in Beijing, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney said that Canada must be pragmatic as the global trading system becomes less predictable. The deal would allow a limited number of Chinese electric vehicles into Canada at sharply reduced tariffs, while China is expected to cut duties on Canadian canola and other farm products. The move comes as Canada faces pressure from U.S. tariffs amid formal talks with the U.S. over the future of a North American trade pact.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann, and that was the Week in Review.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. And with you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
Riley O'Bill.
And Angelo.
I think it was Jason Gerhard when he was on like a couple weeks ago. He was like, your number has 6 6s in it. Wasn't it? Or maybe it was somebody else that's really conspiracy minded. But
I mean, that's the last person who was super
conspiracy minded that was here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was him. But for some reason, I was thinking the second segment started with a 6-2, and it really messed with my brain. So, anyways, Free Talk Live is brought to you by LibertyMinded.com. Official Free Talk Live gear like t-shirts and hoodies are available at LibertyMinded.com. Plus, you'll find a unique collection of cool and funny Liberty-oriented clothing at LibertyMinded.com. That's LibertyMinded.com. And with you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
Riley O'Bill.
And Angelo. Is that Did we do that twice?
We did.
Oh, we did? Oh. Yeah. I didn't notice, sorry.
Yeah, I thought I was tripping for a second. I was like,
I thought you were
I thought, were we
confused
just
about
here?
Him
Like,
being Riley O'Bill. I was like, he's been this the whole time.
no, it wasn't.
Oh, man.
No, I felt like we just entered like a time warp. I was like,
It
hold
is a
on.
time warp, dude.
Hold on. Somebody
We're
turned on the
warping time
Hadron
right now.
I
Collider.
must have entered a time warp because I don't feel like
Somebody
we did
turned on
twice,
CERN.
But I believe you. But, well, we were talking about Greenland, and that's pretty close, right? It's in... Oh, wait, never mind. It's in Switzerland, isn't it?
CERN? Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
in Switzerland.
I was thinking it was in Denmark for a second. I was like, oh, wait, it's not Denmark. It's Switzerland. But, yeah, I do think that thing probably messes with reality in some way. Like, I have a feeling that it couldn't if people didn't, like, do other things with it. You know what I mean? Like, I have a feeling that it couldn't if there wasn't, like, a bunch of energy, like, siphoned into it, stuff like that. I don't think there's just some kind of mathematical equation you can plug in and do stuff to the fabric of the universe. But I do believe that if you just do things, if you're a person who's like, I just do things, you will be shocked to find, wow, like, what are the odds that this happened to me and this happened to me? And if you're a person who just doesn't do things, nothing happens to you. And if this is so easily, intuitively known by everyone, who you have that friend who's like, man, I'm single. Man, I need a girlfriend. And it's like, why don't you go out? No.
It's too scary out there.
Exactly.
Women are this way. Women are that way.
Women
I
are
shouldn't
this
even
way.
try.
Exactly. Like, how will you know if you'll never get a girlfriend if you never leave the house? And it's like, I understand that there is like a lack of like good third spaces and everything in our society, but if you don't start doing things, nothing happens to you. You just have a boring life, and you're like, everything happens to everyone else. Everyone else's look, you know what I mean? And I was thinking about this a lot recently because Ryan Long, the comedian that I've mentioned on the show, I think before, he's really funny. And sometimes he seems to have like kind of libertarian values, but I don't think he like openly is one or anything like that. But he's pretty entertaining, and I think libertarians would be entertained by him if they looked him up. But he was having me think about this concept recently because he wasn't saying the concept, but it's exactly how he lives. He just goes out and does things. Like, Ian will go out and interview people. Ian just does things, and I'm always like, things just happen to you that are like, doesn't happen to anyone else, Ian. And the same exact thing happens to Ryan Long. He goes out and interviews people on the street to make funny videos, and he was talking about how one of his followers was trying to email him and tell him, I think you interviewed Zoran Mamdani like 5 years ago before he was famous. And he was like, no, that can't be true. And the guy emailed him enough times. He's like, all right, I'll take a look at it. And he's like, by God. And it was, he was on the street just interviewing anyone who would talk to him. And he was saying like, oh, what do you think about these stupid female-only remakes of movies like the Ghostbusters? What do you think the next one should be in? Zoran? And he like brought up, I don't remember what it was. He brought up some movie and said, should they do a female-only version of that? And he was like, personally, I think female-only remakes are awesome, and I don't think I have anything else to say about that. It's just so funny. Like,
that's almost like he knew he was going to be the mayor of New York City someday.
But a better example of something just happening to Ryan because he just went and did things is actually that...
No, you create your own luck.
No. A different thing happened to him.
Oh, okay.
He was just going around when the Diddy trials were going on.
Oh, yeah. He interviewed that one guy who said a bunch of stuff he wasn't supposed to.
Yeah, he just wandered to where no press dared to go. He was like, well, I could just walk over there, right, with my mic and camera. And he interviewed this guy who was on Diddy's defense team, and he accidentally spilled the beans about a bunch of weird crap. And he was like, wait, are you a reporter? And he's like, of course I am. I have a YouTube channel. And the guy was like, oh, crap, I shouldn't have said anything. And walked his way. You should really look at that if you're interested in
No, that was a really good video. Oh, well, I think part of it is like, you know, they've done these things, these studies, like if you they put people in front of a shop and one person just stands there, like there's a line. Mm-hmm. Eventually, there will be a line lined up behind him for no reason. Huh. People are just going to line up because it looks like there's a line.
That's so weird.
And then it'll get to the point where you get to the end of the line and you're like, what's going on? Free concert from Bon Jovi, man. Like, didn't you hear? It's like an underground show. And nothing's ever happened, but enough people gathered and people just made their own story for it. Right. And now suddenly there's a bunch of people standing in line for nothing.
That's funny. That's interesting. Like, that's more interesting.
Yeah. And it's like the same concept as the people that they had people stand up every time a bell goes off in a waiting room, and eventually everybody else stands with them just because they assume they have to.
Well, exactly. And
I like to think I wouldn't do that.
So it's the same thing as those guys who put on hard hats and a construction vest and carry a ladder, and they can just walk into any venue on the planet.
Oh yeah, and also
Right,
like
if you just
a
move
lanyard.
like you're supposed to be there, if you move like like you belong, most people are just going to let you belong.
I wish I could. I wish I could tell the story. Like a friend of mine did something like that just for wearing a suit, but I can't tell the story. But it's awesome. Like yes, that's definitely a thing.
Yeah, so if you just look the part and act the part, literally fake it until you make it. If you're outside of the club, right, or the group or whatever you want to call it, if you just fake it till you make it, did you not make it? Have you not made it? Regardless if you faked it, have you not made it?
Like me and a friend in middle school, just where like everybody in our friend group knew we got good grades, and then my sister, my older one, and then our other friend. It's not that they were like, oh, you get horrible grades or anything, but they were constantly stressed out about like not doing as well in school. And they asked me and this friend, his name is Quentin. They were like, Bonnie and Quentin, how do you always pass tests? And we were like, I can't really explain it, dude. It's like I don't worry about it like you. And we were like, yeah, that's what it is, Quentin. It's like I don't worry about it. I think that's your problem. Like,
it's the same. About it. The cartoon of the cool kid, right? The main character wants to be like the cool kid, and he goes up almost like Jimmy. Think of Jimmy Neutron. I don't know if anybody can reference this, but it's like the super cool kid, and you go up, and it's like, hey man, how do I be cool like you? And the cool kid grabs his toothpick, and he's like, I don't know, man. You just be cool.
And he's like, I need a toothpick.
Yeah,
and to act
it's
exactly
like,
him,
I
and
gotta,
can't do it.
I have to do all of these things to be cool when it's just something that happens, you know? It's like you don't worry about it. It comes, you just do it.
And I also think that the term be yourself has been hijacked, and people think that, oh, well, I guess whoever I am in like middle school is who I have to be for life. And I hate that happens to so
because
many people.
People change, and you're not going to be the same person you are in middle school as you are in high school or college or, when you're 40.
Yeah,
you're
I think
change.
Oddly, people really need to hear that. I honestly do think people need to hear that. And I thought about this subject so much because when I was in 7th grade, I was like the biggest Lady Gaga fan of all time. And I loved her message that you should be yourself and not care what anybody else thinks. And I feel like I got the message and I took it correctly. I'm just not trying to toot my own horn. I just feel like I took it in a way that isn't destructive, but I saw people around me, literally other like Lady Gaga fans, if you can believe it, that they think that means who I am should never be threatened with change. Like I'm just who I am. And let's say not even like Lady Gaga fans. I've seen it. Say you don't even know Lady Gaga's message was that. I've seen people take that message to mean I don't have to change. I'm not the problem. And I really hate this one quote. Is like, I'm just honest. I'm not rude. I'm just honest. Well, yeah, you think that who you are is a person who just tells it like it is, but also you can realize you shouldn't be doing that if it's something that's going to hurt someone's feelings, or like you'll lose out on something if you see what I'm saying.
Or sometimes it's about delivery, Can you approach the truth with any nuance, or can you I'm not rude. What do you mean? You can approach the truth with compassion. You can have an open heart and be caring and extend a hand of grace when criticizing somebody. It doesn't have to be rude. You know what I mean? Like you can speak the truth without being hateful.
Right. I never liked that when people like, it's just who I am. You have to deal with it.
What I'm hearing is you took it as more of like a stoic perspective, almost like you have to come to terms. I see it, if I think about it in the most positive aspect of my brain, is you have to come to terms with who you are, like the reality of your person, right? Like I'm a dude who's kind of fat. Right, that's the reality of my situation. What can I do to improve that situation? And let me be be yourself. Like I'm here. I cannot exist in a reality where I'm something else. Right? No matter how hard I try, I am here and I'm me. So why not just be myself? Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I'll be the main character. Right? Be yourself. You're in this thing. Quit trying to be a rock star or an NFL player. Be you, right? Does that make sense?
Yes, and another thing that I think is all tied into this is the idea that there are people that think that life is bad and there are people that think that life is good. And I think that obviously bad things will happen to you, but overall, if you think that being alive is a good thing, you're more likely to have good things happen to you. And I have had horrible things happen to me, even though I've always had this opinion. And honestly, it's just like, I was like, wow, so Ian really is going to go to prison and he's really not going to go out. So I can't like change that with my mind. That's like kind of blowing my mind. I felt like I could just kind of like never have anything bad happen to me. It's not that nothing bad will ever happen to you. It's that you can get past it and like you still continue on.
You know, something crazy. Coach always said life is 80%. Well, 20% what happens to you, right? Your life is only 20% of what happens to you and 80% of how you react to it. How do you react when a call doesn't go your way? When a ref is doing a terrible job at the game, when the cops are beating up people, right? When the rules aren't getting followed, as you feel like they should be or whatever. Like the only thing you can control is how you react to it at the end of the day. You're not going to go into a politician's mind, right, and talk to them for 3 hours and change their mind. You can go speak your piece if you feel like you need to, but you can't change them.
No.
Right? There's nothing you can do.
They've already made up their mind anyway.
Yep, they've made up their mind, so all you can do is react, and you can control how you react.
And I think all of this did lead me to one of my like favorite themes of the last like probably whole entire year has been separation. It's like, sounds weird, but it's like you can't change what the whole world like. I find so many libertarians that say like, well, no one's free until the whole world is free. Actually, most people don't want to be free. So all you have to do is separate from those people that want control over your life and tyrants to control their lives as well. Separate from them and make a new group of people that all want to be free and agree with you.
Well, you could even take that a step closer to yourself, and you can separate your emotional attachment to all those things too, and kind of you can free yourself with still I guess being in the bonds, right? But you can your soul, your inside can be freed because you've quit giving them power over your reactions. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And you can just continue to make what's the best decision for you and your family, right? Or yourself.
Yeah, I do gotta say I don't like the idea that like, oh, all the fight for freedom is 100% in your head. There are people that go that far and I don't like it. Like Ross Ulbricht's speech at PorcFest, I hate to say it, I was so disappointed. I was like, no, that's not true. It's not true that it's 100% in your head because you're talking to the people who are most likely to make a difference and they do need to do. Doing is still part of our reality.
Yes.
Like,
yeah, well, faith without works is dead.
Absolutely.
Right? You have to, you can hope as much as you want. You can have that feeling of hope, that the salvation, right? But if you don't do anything to better your life or better yourself or your situation, then you can have all of the hope in the world and nothing comes of it. Hope is nothing without action.
And I think that there are people that need the other correction too, where it's like, well, I can just make things happen, right? Well, actually, no, things will sometimes not go your way and you need to be okay with it. So it's like there are people that need opposite corrections, but to tell anyone like, oh, it's all you need to do is free yourself in your head. That's not true.
Well, but this is wisdom. This is where wisdom and discernment become a huge part of your day-to-day life. You have to have the wisdom to recognize the things that you can change and what you can do to change those things.
And the thing about wisdom and discernment is that you have to learn how to be aware of your own actions and aware of how your actions might affect others.
Yes.
And plan ahead and do things that are not just in the best interest of yourself all the time, but in the best interest of helping those around you.
I agree.
Yeah, because, well, I mean, in order to make things that are beneficial, you have to make some sacrifices.
Oh, yeah.
And sacrifices are going to be made. And I would rather, it really comes down to, even with this whole government thing, right? This whole idea of an overarching government, they're going to force you to make these sacrifices, right? So I'd rather, I understand sacrifices have to be made. I want the autonomy to make my own sacrifices. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like nothing's going to get better unless some things, you have to sacrifice your own peace and your own dopamine hit. You have to sacrifice a dopamine hit to get a bigger payoff in the long run.
Yeah, like if you want to have kids, you're going to have to go through waking up every night with kids screaming and you're going to get a reward payoff. And I think that's the same thing with like building a free society.
Yeah.
You're probably going to have to go through some bad stuff. You're going to need radical self-responsibility that won't be fun every day.
And discipline.
And it's hard.
And it's discipline for yourself, right? Not for others. You can't go to dictate how others behave.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell them that they're wrong, but still you cannot force them to do anything they don't want to do. You just can't do it.
Recently there was a debate here in the Free State. I thought it was so awesome that they did this, because it's just like, I think debates are really fun if it's like if it's a subject I don't care about, clearly it's not going to be fun, but this subject was interesting to me, and I think that there's a bunch of other subjects that would be interesting to me and other libertarians that could be debated, and I really wish that they'd put these videos out. I got like an underground video of it, so it's not out there, but this one in New Hampshire that's owned by Free Staters, this Free Stater threw a, the debate style, Soho Forum style debate. And the question, or the statement, I guess they call it, is, in order for a libertarian society to exist for 100 years or more, it would need to be at least 60% Christian. And I bring this up because my point is, okay, I remember why I bring this up. It's because you said the thing about like, oh, you can't control other people. I wish that some libertarians would let go of wanting to control other people, because it's like, you want freedom for yourself, but then you're wanting everybody to believe the same thing as you. That's not going to happen. In a free society, if we live in a free society, there are going to be people that do things that you don't want, that you disagree with, but all that really matters is they're not allowed to force it on you. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think the guy that he was of the opinion, the negative or whatever, the guy who was arguing, no, I don't think like it's a necessity for 60% of the population to be Christian if a libertarian society was going to exist for 100 years. I think he won, but it was literally 100% a tie. Like, as in, they literally got the same number of votes, and the same number of people that had an opinion when they came in the room changed their mind. So, or didn't change their mind, whatever it was. But wait, no, the same number of people changed their mind to went from one side to the other, and so it was exact tie. So that made it really interesting and fun. His main argument was that Judaism really was the first religion to end child sacrifice, and he said because that is true, that's why he believes that you need to have more Christians than any other religion for a free society. And I just think that's such a flawed statement, because it's like, slavery ended in America because of a war, but that doesn't mean that slavery in America would have never ended except from war.
Yeah.
Well, it would have, part of it, I think, it just, what happens when does something end when it's, I think slavery would have ended when it became not economically feasible.
Yeah, or if something got invented that just made it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Slavery was on the way out, period.
I agree.
Because of automation, right? So I think we fought that whole war over the idea of slavery, but Britain was already industrialized. They already had machines. Mm-hmm. Huge machines and factories, and they were well underway of their industrial revolution when we were fighting over whether or not to maintain our slavery. I think slavery was on the way out regardless if we fought a war.
Yeah, I think so too. So I bring that up to just say that just because the first group of people were the Jews, not even Christians, to end killing babies. And the other thing I brought up to this guy over text, I told him that even some Christians believe that they said not to sacrifice babies to Molech because God didn't like that it was a loophole, because they were like, oh, I'm pregnant out of wedlock. Oh, if I just go over to the town next door and sacrifice this baby to Molech, it'll be fine. And God said, stop doing that. But some Christian historians say, no, he didn't say that because I don't want you to kill babies. He said, hey, you're not getting out of this loophole. You still did a sin with the whole adultery thing. So, and it didn't change this guy's mind. Anyways, that's getting a little like too directly into the argument of that, I guess, but I love the idea of people debating in public. Well, that's what we do on Free Talk Live every single weekend, but
I just think from a standpoint of, I think you need a moral people, a 60% moral people that, believe in life, liberty, and autonomy to to exist in a libertarian society.
Yeah, that'd be when I think most people should be able to agree with.
The issue is that when you hyper individualize so far to the point that nobody has the same morals, right? Because if it's all subjective in this postmodern, post-truth society, then everything's so nuanced that we can't agree on anything, and then there's no middle ground.
I think that's all libertarianism is anyway. That's people who have seen this, exactly what you've just described, and they say, no, I think there is such thing as morality. It's wrong to steal from people. Taxation is theft, and all kinds of other things that they've extrapolated out of the non-aggression principle, and they want to separate from the people who just can't agree that they shouldn't be allowed to harm each other and be harmed themselves by others, really. It's like they never think of that part. Really.
Yeah. Well, I just think the mob will never let you go. The mob's not going to let us go. Yeah. We have to exist within you know what I mean? We can build our own society, right? And we can try to lead by example, but we still exist within this reality. You know what I mean?
It comes down to like, oh, well, they'll just bomb the Free State Project. Well, then I just go to, well, death is not the worst of evils, honestly.
Yeah.
If it's just like they're going to kill us because we live here, still doesn't make it like not worth it to me. Or, like,
yeah.
Not
no, and I agree. Well, and that's what a Christian would say the same thing, right? Because a real Christian would be okay with dying for their belief, right? A lot of people say that they would, but like a real one would say, I'd rather be dead than, not have a faith in Christ.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
But I'm just saying, like, it's that same idea of like, I'm willing to die for this moral framework. Are you?
I just think that the idea that you need Christianity in order to have freedom implies that Christianity, first of all, promotes freedom, and I don't think it does. And second of all, it implies that over time, if people start believing that, then people are going to start thinking, well, being not Christian is kind of anti-libertarian. And like, you can extrapolate all kinds of things out of that to where you're like, I shouldn't associate with other Christians, because actually, if you don't believe in the Christianity, it's against the NAP. If you can delude yourself, because I think in this case of this one guy, he really wants to live in a society that's all Christian, and that's the thing, you can't control, but that other people have like these much more
in a free society. In a free society, could he not go build his own Christian village?
Oh no, yes he could. I completely agree with that.
He can
but I
invite
don't
anyone
like the
who
idea.
wants to participate in that.
I don't
village.
like the idea that he could say, "Hey, people are being non-libertarian because they're being non-Christian." Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's important to talk about.
Well, because my personal belief, if you are a Christian, then it's not right or left, right? Because you've left that dialectic behind, because you're supposed to live under a different kind of rule set, if that makes any sense.
Well, I did find I didn't find it. Somebody sent it to me. It's 2 Samuel 12:11. But more Free Talk Live tomorrow. More Free Talk Live tomorrow.
This hour of Free Talk Live is brought to you by Dash Digital Cash. Dash is the cryptocurrency designed to be used for spending. In addition to being one of the world's first cryptocurrencies, Dash was the first crypto project to have a decentralized autonomous organization that to this day continues to improve and promote Dash. Every month, 10% of the mining rewards go into a treasury. Anyone with one Dash to spend can put forward a proposal to the Dash masternodes. The masternodes vet the proposals and decide which ones move forward and are funded by that treasury. Nowadays, DAOs are plentiful, but Dash paved the way by doing it first, nearly a decade ago. Dash is one of the oldest cryptocurrencies and is widely available on exchanges, including the decentralized Maya protocol, and in multi-crypto wallets. It's easy to get and use Dash. Start by learning more at dash.org. Thanks to the Dash DAO for sending us 32 Dash per month to promote Dash on the air. Visit dash.org to learn about Dash. Dash.org.
Eleutheromania. The insatiable desire for freedom. It's the new 3-song heavy metal EP from Captain Kickass. Available now on your favorite music app or get it directly from CaptainKickass.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com.